Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday, 24th of July, 2010. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me once again are Zachary Burgess.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I was taking a sip of water at that exact moment because I thought you were going to go with Rob first.
And Robert Kemp.
Hey.
That wasn't as dramatic as Zach's intro.
Well, he was going for the classic one word.
That's true.
I was trying to think of something slightly more interesting than hey, but didn't get there in time.
I don't know why. I thought I was planning, before we started doing this, on saying Rob first, and then for some reason I said Zach first.
So I would have been right. Damn it.
Yeah, you would have been right, yeah. But no, fate
Just lulling
intervened.
into a false sense of security to see if we can hear your underwater voice.
Something along those lines.
That would have made a good intro.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the Saladcast, and we are back after a brief hiatus. Well, how long has it actually been? It's been like a month or something.
It's been a whole month, yeah.
Bloody hell. Anyway, so reasons for that. Good, genuine reasons, and hopefully this won't be happening again. But we've all basically moved in a way. Zach's moved computers to his brand new PC. Is that correct?
Yes. Did that actually...
Had that happened last time, though?
No, I don't think it had. I think we'd got to the point where it was that weekend where the week at the start of that week I'd said it had been ordered, and it was like, oh, it better turn up by the end of this week, and then it still took like a whole other week to actually turn up.
No, yeah.
So Zach's moved his stuff. Rob has quite literally moved house across the road.
Which has been probably the majority of the reason for it, because not only was I moving house for a week and a bit, which took forever because of DIY tiling being a bastard, and because I've been seriously having trouble with my broadband provider and BT, who both seriously suck ass.
It's typical. Why is there always trouble? Every time I've ever moved, like as a student, you have to move around to different houses all the time, and it's like when you're in halls, you just plug in, whereas anywhere where you have to move in, you have to set up the broadband, and every time there is a problem. Why can't they just do it?
I know. You'd have thought, because it's a brand new line, they'd have got it right. But no, in the end, it was all... And this ran on for about 2.5 weeks of me being internetless. In the end, after BT fixed their initial problem, which was they got my phone number wrong, they eventually fixed it. Apparently it was all at the exchange in the PCP box, that they just wired it completely stupidly.
Oh, right.
And so they just had a bit of a toy and fixed it in minutes.
Yeah, it's typical, isn't it?
It's
Once
really
they get
irritating.
someone out to do it. You'd think British Telecom, if they were experts at anything, it would be at knowing your telephone number. Maybe it's confusing when it's a new number.
Stupid.
And me, I've been moving down from Southampton, and I'm up near Manchester now for the time being. So I haven't actually got everything set up here, but before long, I know Rob and Zach here have both got brand new spanking PCs, but hopefully I should have the lend of
I
a
wouldn't call them
PC.
spanking PCs. They're not set up to sort of pleasure someone's booty.
No, that's true, but they are brand spanking new, and they would spank the arse of computer games in terms of performance, I think.
Good save.
That's what I meant originally.
That didn't really need saving. It's just
No.
you made it into something that required saving.
But anyway, I'm going to have the loan of a relatively decent PC, hopefully, so we should all be able to at least play Left 4 Dead 2 on high settings, so that'll be really good. So yeah, that will be good for the Saladcast, because we'll all be able to play all the cool new stuff.
Huzzah.
Bizarre. So should we get the ball rolling on the cool stuff that's now being able to play by especially Zach, I guess, because he's got a brand new PC after having the most ancient PC in the world for about... Well, it wasn't originally the most ancient, but it's been a good like 5 years. It's been obsolete for a good 3 years or so. So yes. Yeah. So Zachary Burgess, what have you been playing?
Everything. No, not
everything.
It's like after I went through all the installation. Well, of course, the first problem was naturally getting everything off Steam again. Like, I'm just going to rape this internet connection continuously for several days while downloading several gigs of random crap.
Yeah, because Steam is amazing at hogging connection. Like, it gets a really good data, but it just destroys anything else trying to use the internet. It's worse than, like, the iPlayer or something. It's the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I spent a good long time downloading everything again. Well, not really. I still haven't downloaded everything, really. Oh, wait, here comes the train. Of course, now that I'm back in my own house, I probably should mention that. now that I'm back here again, trains will return.
The trains are back.
It just makes us sound a bit like we're on some kind of futuristic spaceport, blogging from the future.
Yeah.
Well, that's appropriate, because one of the games that I installed and played was Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2. Did you see how smooth that was?
That was a very
What, you mean
smooth segue
because
there.
there's future blogging in Mass Effect, or
Because there are space stations!
You get all those emails and shit.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And there are
Yeah.
like radio shows or TV shows, like annoying reporters who talk to you. It's the same one, isn't it, in both games? It comes up and
Yeah,
talks to you.
that's
Yes.
kind of lazy of them. She's like the only reporter on the Sizzler, apparently.
I guess, but at least you have like in the second game you have history with her like being annoying, so you can be renegade towards her if you like.
Yes, but I installed that, and well, it's like first of all I had to actually finish playing through Mass Effect 1 again because it was like
Yeah.
now it'll run smooth enough for me to actually be able to do the hacking mini games. Thank God. So I did that, and then I went into Mass Effect 2, and then I did that, the whole thing.
Yeah,
I can't believe
how long
you've
did that
done
take
it
you?
already. I'm still playing through it.
It took me a week. How long did it take you?
According
A
to
week?
Steam, 39 hours.
Oh, that's like
oh.
I was about 35, I think. Maybe
I think I
slightly
spent
longer.
way too long doing mining though.
Yeah,
The
I
thing
think
is-
I'm in the same boat. My clock's just ticked over 40, and I've only just done the Derelict Reaper mission.
Well, you're nearly at the
Sorry.
end, though.
Is that too much of a spoiler? No, I
Don't
suppose I've
think
got a
so.
couple of missions left.
At this
haven't I?
point,
But-
probably not.
If you've played the first game, then you know what a Reaper is. So
I guess.
don't think that's too bad.
But you don't know what it really is. Dun dun dun.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm not sure even I know that yet. So there.
I'm sure
Well, you're
we'll
about to find out at the end. And it's really
Hurrah.
retarded.
Yeah. So what did you think then as that? Because we've been playing that for a while, haven't we? Mass Effect 2.
Well, obviously I have the PC version, which gives it another element of something different that I can talk about compared to you guys' experience.
That's true. How's the shooting on PC then? I imagine easier.
Well, the first problem that I found with it is, of course, it doesn't have sufficient options for mouse sensitivity. Because it's like, it does it in the classic word rather than scale. So it's like low or medium or whatever.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
turned it right down to low, and that's still way too sensitive.
Well,
But luckily, of course, I have the sensitivity buttons on my mouse.
new
But-
mouse,
so it's,
yeah.
So it's like, you have it on my mouse. I set it to the lowest it's possible in the game, and then on my mouse, the lowest possible setting I have on my mouse is for when I'm running around shooting things. The middle setting on my mouse is for menus, and the higher setting is for planet scanning, because then it lets you move the cursor around pretty quickly.
Oh my god, that's cheating. That's amazing.
Seriously,
Because that's so slow.
You mouse control the scanner,
Yeah, you just drag
You
the mouse around the
bastard.
planet, like do 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 do.
and you still took longer than Dan.
Well, that's because I had a period where it's like, I'm going to mine every single goddamn resource on every one of these planets, regardless of whether I need it or not. And it was like, wait, this is stupid. I've already got all the upgrades.
I'm going to have to check my time actually, because I'm pretty sure I saw everything. As in, I literally went to every planet and found every little,
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget me and
Mission.
Zeg have got the free DLC, which I'm not sure you had.
Oh, that's true. I didn't. I
Yeah, I
was
did
played
those
on
as
like
well.
launch day basically. So
Yeah, there's quite a lot of extra free DLC, isn't there?
right, that's
Well,
probably it then.
I don't know if there's only like 4 extra levels. Oh, and I guess Said's mission.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would explain it. I expect.
You get Zaid,
But
you get the
Zaid's mission
Firewalker,
wasn't very
don't
long.
you? And... oh no, but it was in that whole extra mission, and you do get the 4 Firewalker missions, and I think there's a few other offshoots as well. Oh, there's that a crashed ship or something.
Oh, right, the Normandy crest site. Yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Not that
that's
you
like
do
a
much
pre-order
there.
bonus.
Just
isn't
like
it?
run around.
So is that free, that DLC?
Yeah.
Oh, what, on the 360 as well?
Yep.
Oh crap! I'm gonna have to download that.
There's
Get
a
into
couple of paid things, like there's a few items, sets or something you have to pay for, and of
You
course
do get
there's the
A couple of
the
free
thief
weapons
mission.
as well.
Because I was really annoyed when I looked on and saw that the Assassin's Creed 2 DLC, which slots into the story very nicely, isn't free. And also, from reviews, it's perfectly fine, but it's not worth the money compared to the game.
Yeah, well, we've talked
So-
about this before, as I just don't really get on with most DLC. I just don't see how they can justify the price of it most of the time.
I think it's a bit it's a bit strange, isn't it? How, like, for example, Valve will give it away free on PC and literally charge for the same content on. Xbox.
That's not necessarily their choice though, because Microsoft have been sort of forcing them into that. Is the
it's
word
not the sort
on
of
the
thing. It's not a very Valve thing to do, is it? So
No.
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Well, they got away with it in the Left 4 Dead 1 survival patch, but even then, Microsoft weren't very happy with it because they basically want. I think the idea is they want people to pay for the time Microsoft put in, not necessarily the developers, because they do have to go through a really long QA process with Microsoft to get anything on Xbox Live. And I think Microsoft will get some of that back.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with paying for that little bit of extra DLC for Left 4 Dead because we got so much value out of that game, didn't we? We played so much of it. Although we did have to buy 2 copies of it, of course, in order to play. So that,
and now we have the
adds
PC
to the
version
price.
as well.
Yeah, and the PC version as well. Yeah. So finally be able to play that. You have to get.
I don't know. I've always thought DLC is insanely overpriced, though. I mean, they recently did a price drop on a number of. They recently did a price drop of a number of stuff on Live Arcade, like old DLC. For instance, Bring Down the Sky for Mass Effect 1 is now only 80 points, which seems a bit more reasonable for an hour and a half's content than the several hundred they were asking for before.
It really wasn't worth it, was it? But originally. Well, it did
80
introduce those
like a
Batarian
bargain
guys,
for an
didn't
extra
it?
few missions, but
It's because it's like some of the Mass Effect 2 DLC is like, have some new gun. It's like, do I really want? I don't think I'd pay for a new gun.
Yeah,
Like,
there's enough cool guns in the game.
Well, but there isn't though. That's the problem. It's like there's only 2 options, and it's not really an option. It's just an upgrade.
Well, there's tons of heavy weapons. Well, not tons, but there's enough that they're all very different, aren't they? I mean, that's the
and
only
you
one
get
that
2
has
from the free
significant-
DLC as well.
But you only, you never fire those really. You get like one shot and it uses all your ammo. Or in some of them.
I don't know. I use that beam
Or you
gun
destroy
quite a
one
bit.
enemy and you're like, I know, I'm done.
The beam weapon by the end of the game doesn't actually do much more damage than your normal weapons. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cheap, so I never used it. I was like, oh, it's just like point and click. See that?
What are those big enemies that come
You
in
took the nuke
twos? I
launcher
can't
though,
remember.
didn't you?
Well,
the
I took
Scions.
nuke launcher into the last couple of missions, yeah.
What are they
You
called?
referred to
They're-
the Scions, Dan. The sort of
I think so. The collector
Or the
types.
Praetorians.
Yeah.
they were
the
The
sort of
Praetorian was
tall.
the big, giant, floaty thing. But
No.
Yeah, the smaller ones are the...
The Scions.
The other ones, the Scions.
They take quite a bit of pounding, don't they, initially? And like at the end, in the last mission or whatever, then there's quite a few of them, aren't there?
shockwave attack.
They start coming in 2 at once.
Yeah.
It's quite annoying.
That's right.
That was where the nuke
Shockwave.
launcher came in handy. Because it's like, oh look, 2 of you standing right next to each other, boom!
Yeah, but there's that one mission where you always get there's quite a few of them, 2 of them together, so you could finish off the first batch of 2 together, and then there's like 2 or 3 more batches of 2 of them.
Yeah, on like the Reaper where they come off, there's like a pair of them at least twice. That was pretty dodgy. I just started like edge sniping them, where it's like just peek round the corner and take a sniper shot and then run away again, and then wait for them to move slightly into view and then move so they're out of view again.
I think my main problem with them was the first time you meet them, right before you meet that Praetorian thing. I mean, you were saying you had trouble with that, Rob, with a floaty thing, and there's the cover.
Mainly
is all
because the AI
quite hard,
kept dying,
just
standing under it. Hello, big thing.
My problem with like the floaty thing is it's just like you sit in cover and then you like shoot it for a while, but it just casually drifts so that your cover is no longer any use, and then you have to find some different cover while being shot by all this other crap.
Yeah, they are a pain in the ass. The second time you see one, though, was quite easy because there was a circular route you could take, and for most of the time it can't see you, or couldn't shoot at you while you could shoot it. So it's like, oh, this is easy.
But I had more trouble the bit before the first time you meet that. You go into that arena, and I think it might be the first time you see those Scions. Guys. But
I
two
think
of them.
It's the first time, but it might be the first time actually.
But there's 2 of them, and they're at the end of that area. And then the zombies come from the sides, whatever they're called. And my main problem was when you go in that area, the door behind you immediately closes, and you're unfamiliar with the terrain, and there's nowhere really to hide very easily. And the zombies come from both sides, and then those 2 big big Scion things which you've never dealt with before that take tons of damage and have that shockwave attack are coming from the other side. And that's what killed me. I had no problem with the floaty guy as long as I kept running from cover and stuff, because I thought, oh, this is a boss. But before that, I found that fight quite tough, especially with those annoying...
both things tough, but...
Yeah, it was a difficult part.
I always had to try and like conserve sniper ammo for that. It's like really because I was playing as infiltrator, so I had sniper rifle was basically my main weapon, and I had like the abilities like cloak, but the cloak lasts practically no time, so it's almost worthless. But in theory, I really should have used it a lot more, where it's like cloak and then moves to a different bit of cover.
Oh yeah,
been probably quite useful if I'd actually thought to use it, but it's just doesn't last long enough. And of course, the annoying thing about it is you don't regenerate while you're cloaked, so you can't use it as a defensive maneuver. It's like if you're taking tons of damage, you can't cloak and then sit there for a while and then regenerate health.
Right. I presume that's deliberate, obviously, to stop you doing that, but it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Is it a bit like the Arbiter's cloak in Halo 2?
Yeah,
You know,
kind
really
of,
short.
except it's incredibly short. It lasts like 2.5 seconds or something. And then if you level 4 it and choose its upgrade, you get like 3.5 seconds. Holy fuck! But I chose the one where I chose the other upgrade for it, where when you're cloaked, your shots do more damage, like attacking from cloak. Not that I ever used that either. Apart from on a couple of enemies where it's like, oh, wait, I remember this is a big enemy, I should probably cloak, and then fire a sniper rifle shot for bonus damage.
That seems silly. It's almost like, I don't know, it might as well be a power-up that does no cloaking at all, but just boosts your weapon power at that point.
I virtually never used it. It was pretty dumb. But the sniper rifles were basically the best thing ever. Like, headshots for everyone!
So you'd play Sentinel. Well, I'm not saying you would because you want to try other stuff, but you'd play the sniper. What's it called? Infiltrator.
Infiltrator.
Because I played. We were trying to work it out, and I think it's Sentinel, the class that I was. That's combat and biotic.
Yeah, and then Rob's Vanguard, which is Rob's.
I'm Adept.
No, Dan must be Vanguard.
No, I'm Vanguard. That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Because Sentinel is tech, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I get confused between
Sentinel's tech and biotic, isn't it?
Or is that tech combat? I think that's tech combat.
But I was Vanguard,
where you have shotguns.
No.
No, Vanguard is biotic.
Combat biotic. Yeah, that's
combat.
Vanguard.
Yeah.
That's what I was. Because I had that move. You have shotguns, that's right, and then you have that move that lets you zoom right up to enemies in one charge, which kind of knocks them over, but also gets them in range of your shotgun. Which I ended up not really using because if you charge into a bunch of enemies, no matter how hardcore you are, you're probably going to die. It's definitely easier to stay back and shoot them in the head.
It doesn't seem like they planned the class special abilities very well. Like, none of these really use. What's Rob's on? He just gets another biotic power, doesn't he?
Singularity, I think it is, which is actually incredibly useful against husks.
That's why you turn, you generate. Do you generate like a mini black hole and they just fall into it?
Yep.
Is that right? That's
really
pretty damn cool.
handy.
Yeah. But of course you have
basically got through
help,
both the first and the second game so far using just Singularity, pretty much.
Yeah. Do you get an achievement for using enough Singularities, don't you, or something?
In the first game, but not
I truly didn't use any biotics. I mean, obviously, because I didn't have biotics because I was combat tech, being an infiltrator. Right. But because you can choose your last ability, and you get one of your loyal squad members' abilities as your last ability. So you can have a tiny bit of biotics. But I didn't. I just chose another ammo ability. So it's like, I basically had an ammo ability for everything. It's like, okay, now they're in shields, so I'm using shield shots, and then once I've gone through their shields, switch to armor shots.
Yeah, that was cool. I like the graphics of the little blue, the little HUD that's projected
where it's
from
like,
the
it has the little icon that is the icon, but it's projected off the side of your gun, actually.
It looks really cool, and it's a really good visual cue that doesn't need to be on the HUD.
Although it was kind of annoying that it's like when you start a new mission, it's like, okay, I'm just going to stand here for a minute and switch to each of my guns and set each of them
change
to the correct
them,
weapons.
set them to the right thing. Yeah, I did that every time as well. It's really funny.
Yeah, that is a little irritating. But there's I found some of the ammo abilities you can't actually see the icon because it's like zoomed out slightly too much. You just have to tell by the color.
Yeah, it's mostly the color. Yeah, but. It's like I had the freeze. I used the freeze one mostly. So Is that right? Is that one of them? Yeah, to freeze them solid.
I had that, but I didn't really use it very much.
I upgraded that to the
That does
max
sound
instead
useful,
of the
actually.
other one. Because I had the fire and the freeze, and I ended up sticking to freeze because fire sets them on fire and does more damage to them quickly over time. It's like poison or whatever, Whereas freeze just stops them from moving and shooting at you, which is quite a lot more useful. And then you
Freeze
can
is probably
pound
useful
them.
when you have like biotics and shit to chuck them around after you froze them.
That's true, because
Makes
I
them
could
a
freeze them.
stationary target. Because it's like if I was just
Yeah.
using freeze, it was just like, okay, I froze you, and now I just have to keep shooting you until you die.
Yeah, but if you combine it with your squad's biotic powers or whatever, I quite like bringing like I've forgotten all the names of the characters. Who's the Solarian guy? With beginning with
One.
Morden. Sorry,
Morden Solus.
Morden. Oh, yeah. Anyway, sounds like a station on the underground, doesn't it? Anyway, but Morden, yeah, he had the. Did he have biotic powers? He definitely did. Did he?
No, he was. Tech,
No, he has
wasn't
Incinerate and Cryo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, oh gosh. Anyway, so I used to use his Incinerate, and then I'd use the girl's biotic power. Man, I really have forgotten everything about all the characters.
Which girl? Miranda?
Miranda, yeah.
Yeah, the bar.
Although, what was the annoying thing that she says that they talk about
less.
on the bum? Yeah, one less. One less.
Although to be honest, everyone's like, I've just killed something sound effect is pretty annoying.
That's true.
I
but
don't
that
know.
one is-
I like fighting with Morden because he's quite cool. Like you'll burn something up and
Yeah, he
he'll
is
shout
pretty cool,
something.
though.
He
Thing about
occasionally
Morden
just
is
shouts
e-
random stuff. It's like, oh, there's
Everything
one
he
less,
says.
or it's a bit easier. I forget which. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
everything he
that-
says is
it's
just
like-
cool. Yeah.
Flammable or inflammable. No, don't remember which.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's so cool. He's definitely the best character. In fact, when I first did the ending, I had everyone's loyalty, but he randomly died, and I was like, I'm not having this. So the next time I reloaded and I went through it and I made sure he was in my final team so that he wouldn't die. Because I was like, the thing is, I don't mind the fact that people can die in the final mission and then they won't appear in the sequel. I thought that's fine from a story point of view, but I'm not having you kill my favourite character. So that
Well, yeah,
I won't
that's
get to hear his
important.
dialogue in the sequel. I don't care. You could kill all the others, but I want Morden to be in the sequel so I can hear his dialogue, like I could hear Rex's in this one.
Do you reckon they're gonna have like how do you mean like, do the same thing in Mass Effect 3 where you have basically your entire team is different?
I hope not. They need to. I don't know.
It's
they
because
should bring
some
back
of them
some
could
of them
die
this
off
time.
again, isn't it? It's because some of them could die again. So if they all
That's
die,
true.
whatever, then what are you gonna do?
That's true. They might have forced themselves
Yes, but
to do it
what
again.
if everyone's dead? That's one of their stupid contingency plan that they have to plan for. It's like,
Yeah, what if Shepard dies? You mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
So you might not play a Shepherd necessarily, although that would be a bit dumb.
Yeah. Brother of Shepard.
Who you've never mentioned up till now. It's like, oh wait, he has a brother. Yeah.
Or a sister. Betty.
Who we call
The
Steve.
end.
Steve the sheep.
Steve the sheep. You're getting sheep from Shepherd here. so the older brother is the shepherd, and then the younger brother is the sheep.
It's one of the races we haven't seen yet. A flock of sheep men.
I think it'll be Adrian Shepherd from Opposing Force. The G-Man has taken him from that universe.
That would be the best crossover.
Put him into the Mass Effect universe. And Rex would be like, Shepherd. That'd be so awesome. Because what did happen to Adrian Shepherd? Nobody knows. He just sort of was in that B-22 Osprey when Black Mesa was destroyed, and he got put into limbo, just like Gordon Freeman, but Gordon Freeman got taken out and put into City 17, and meanwhile, Adrian Shepherd hanging around.
He's waiting for his sequel. Whenever that happens.
Which will never happen, because
Or
I
to
don't
be
think...
somehow worked into Half-Life 3 stupidly.
Yeah,
Or maybe Portal 2. Lols.
that would be hilarious. Oh, man.
Agent
People are-
Shepard is the person you play as in co-op.
No, have you seen the people you play as in co-op? I've
No.
seen pictures of them now. They're not people. They're like like humanoid robots, but they look a bit like the evolutions of like the gun turret or the
It's
Or-
basically
or
you're playing
an
as
orb.
the androids that the android training course would have been for in Portal 1.
yeah, presumably for military androids. Yeah, presumably. I don't know, because have you heard Wheatley, his supposedly temporary voice?
Yeah, I think so.
Because some people are split over whether they like the voice because it's this kind of, I don't know what accent it is. English. Is it Midlands
English
or
somewhere.
something? I don't know where. Somewhere in the. I don't know.
Ari, calm down. Let's have a little good listen.
It's not Scouser, no. But anyway, it's just it's one of the animators has provided this voice temporarily, and so they could do the animation. But it was shown at E3 him talking and stuff. Because Wheatley is like one of the personality core
No, it's
things.
not Ike.
But yeah, I don't know if they should keep that. We'll have to see. So yes.
Yeah. So that was
Mass
Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Also, for some reason, my squad of 2 people for the final boss fight, which, I mean, I can't really tell anything about this to Rob, if he hasn't done it yet. Don't want to spoil it, because it's retarded. Don't want to spoil
it's really,
the retardation.
All we have to know is it's retarded, yeah.
But yeah,
I totally agree with that.
The 2 people I took from that was, like, Tally and Warden, which is literally the worst combination for the enemies you have to fight during that segment.
Possibly, but as I say, it's worth taking more than just so he doesn't die.
Yeah, it's worth taking Warden just because he's cool.
Yeah, he's way cool.
And I had to take Tally so she doesn't die because of the romance, goddammit.
Did you get him to sing?
Yes. That was also
Awesome.
Oh, right, the Gilbert and Sullivan thing. Yeah, that's quite cool.
Rob can't remember a single word of that song.
Something about
I am the very model of a
Solarian.
scientist Solarian, yeah.
Yeah.
All that. It's always good to take the mick out of that. That's the tune he used for the Elements song, isn't it? Tom Lehrer.
Yeah.
The same tune he set the names of all the chemical elements. So yes, Mass Effect. What else have you been playing on your new PC?
Well, I installed but didn't play very much Red Faction Guerrilla, so that will be coming in the future again.
Okay, coming attractions.
Yes. And then basically a whole goddamn ton of Team Fortress 2. Because it's like you on the H8 servers where it's like records your stats, but it only records them over the last it records some totals, but it records them mostly over the last 28 days. It's like, holy shit, I haven't actually played in the last 28 days, so my stats are like totally fresh. I better grind up some points.
So you did. And me and Rob not having an internet connection and me not having access to my PC, have not been playing TF2, and of course the engineer update is out. So Zach, you'll have to tell us what the hell's going on. What's going on in Team
Rob
Fortress
has
2?
played that a tiny bit.
Yeah, I managed to get one session in a couple of days ago, but
Okay, well,
I didn't
fill
get a
me
chance
in.
to play Engie, unsurprisingly.
No, but you could see the effects.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Stupidity.
certainly interesting. I'm not
But how does
entirely
it
sure
work?
that some of the changes are actually of any use.
It's like the main problem with it, as far as I'm concerned, is it's obviously totally unbalanced the sort of attack and defense dynamic, where it's like now when engineers are attacking, they can just carry a level 3 sentry up to the point and just put it there. It's like that's not very fair. It's just like bringing a giant fucking gun and just plonking it on the point you're halfway through capturing, making it virtually impossible for the defending team to counterattack.
I
I
can
don't
see
understand
why they
that.
did it though, because they needed to make the engineers slightly more involved in combat.
Well,
and
but
slightly
that's
more
the trouble
involved
with it,
in the
because
main
it's like
push.
when they were like on the run up to this, they were like, "Oh, we want to make like the engineer unlocks to bring him out from behind his turret, so he's a bit more like combat orientated or whatever." Except in like 2 out of 3 of the cases, they've just failed to do that, because it's like you get the shotgun where you get revenge crits, so that's basically you stay behind your turret until it dies, and then you go shooting things.
Which
Right.
is bloody awesome, because it's very powerful. When you come up against someone wielding that, you're
But
probably
it only has
dead.
3 shots, and that's the trouble. Yeah, only having a 3-bullet clip, I've seen people clip out of that all the time and just die.
Yeah, you can
Right.
like stack up 35 crit hits.
Yeah, but you're
in a
never going
row.
to get that many, or at least not if you're as shitty engineer as I am.
Hmm.
I still haven't got the achievement for getting 10 sentry kills on 1 sentry. Most I've ever got is 9.
That is actually relatively hard to do, isn't it? You have to be in the right game, really.
Yeah.
Although I guess it does also count assists on that, on the crit. count,
The best
so
way, to be honest,
it
to
gives you
do that, to do that achievement is to put your sentry in a surprise position that nobody expects because it's a bad position, and then everyone goes ah, and a surprise sentry rather than an actually useful sentry is the way to get that achievement.
It's like the next engineer weapon is one where is the one where you get the laser pointer and you tell your sentry where to shoot. So that doesn't actually move you out from behind your sentry either.
So how does that work? What do you do?
Well, it's just like you put your crosshair where you want it to shoot, and then you press down the button, and the sentry shoots at it. But you can still move around.
Right. So you don't have to point the Wrangler thing at your sentry. You just point it anywhere in the room, and as long as you're in the same room as the sentry, it will shoot.
Well, no. So long as you're the sentry points towards where it's pointing, regardless of where you or walls are. Which obviously means sometimes you can look like the sentry could just be shooting at a wall because you've moved behind that bit of cover or whatever. You have to be aware of where your sentry can actually shoot to.
So it won't work across the map, obviously.
Well, no, it will work across the map.
Oh.
It has because that's like the advantage of it. It is now that there's no.
If
the enemies are outside the detection range of your sentry, you can just manually tell it to shoot them.
That's quite cool. So, okay.
But of course,
so what happens?
You get double damage
it can't spin around as fast as you can it? So if you're pointing the laser one way,
it can turn up. The sentry can turn super quick when you're doing that.
Okay.
Instantly.
So it can turn around as fast as you can.
And it fires extra fast, and it gets a shield, which makes it absorb tons of damage.
That sounds quite fun.
It's really dangerous, except for it has the slight, sort of balance disadvantage of engineers will all the time be running out from behind their sentry into the open and then getting sniped.
Well, no, worse than that, actually. I think Wrangle turrets are easier to destroy because they don't have the snap detection. You can sneak out of the engineer's visual range.
If they don't know where you are,
the engineer won't be repairing it.
Well,
so presumably, if your turret starts taking damage and you're not sure where it's coming from, do you just switch weapon as quickly as you can so that it then goes back to normal?
It then has a shutdown period where it's like 3 seconds after you've been wrangling it, it doesn't activate at all.
That's clever. Okay.
But the shield still lasts, I think.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell because the graphics
the shield is still up when it's
bugs.
down. The shield is still up, yeah.
Right. So
but then, of course, you can switch out and then be repairing it while it's in its offline state until it comes
so
back
it really
on.
won't die, but you might die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really the way to pick off wrangled sentries is to wait for the engineer to retardedly run out from behind it so you can just snipe him.
I don't know. I haven't really worried about it, to be honest. My recent run has been I've switched back to the direct hit on the soldier and been doing freaking awesome with him. So the wrangled sentries aren't really an problem for my direct hit, and I actually find it quite easy to take them out compared to normal sentries. So
they are the best weapon.
I don't really care for it.
The direct hit is the best against sentries, isn't it? I mean, it's probably the best.
That is,
I guess demo men, but
the final.
Direct hit.
Oh yes, mini sentries.
Yeah, the mini sentry is the final unlock.
So tell me this: if you can move, if you can pick up and move a level 3 sentry, why would you ever use a mini sentry?
Because it builds at 100% health. So if you're setting up fresh, it doesn't get destroyed instantly as soon as someone shoots at it.
Right.
So that's the first advantage, because when you've got like a level 1 sentry, as soon as the engineer puts it down, you have like that short period as its health goes up, where you can shoot it really easily with like a flare or something, and it will die.
Yeah.
But mini sentries start at 100% health, and they deploy like super quick, obviously, because they're tiny.
So do you sacrifice your ability to build normal sentries?
Yes. But they cost a lot less metal as well, of course.
So
they're quite literally an annoyance. That's all they are. They're not particularly useful, but they're just.
They can be fairly dangerous if you also wrangle them, so they get the shield for the damage reduction, so they last a bit longer.
It still only takes like 2 direct hits, and the other thing, I think, and this might be their main purpose from the tactically, is I reckon they're useful because every time they get destroyed, which is easily, you gain some crits on the Frontier Justice.
Yeah, of course.
Meaning you're building mini sentries in order to superpower your gun.
Get your crits. Yeah.
Well, assuming that your turret actually gets kills or assists, and seeing there's a mini sentry, it's not very likely.
You get revenge crits, don't you, when the turret gets destroyed?
Only if it's killed or assisted in a kill.
No, I thought it was just in general.
No. It's for every kill and assist that the turret gets, you get a revenge crit.
I'm pretty sure it just happened anyway. I thought you got crits as it got kills.
No, It's
when
only
the
when it's
sentry goes
destroyed
down.
for how many kills or assists it's got.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
not
So
sure
if you
that's
build
right, but never
one
mind.
and it gets destroyed
That's what it
without
says
any
in the
kills,
patch logs.
I know, but I read them and interpreted them differently.
we'll have to check that
Well, that's
one.
not how it works, I can safely say.
So
We shall see when I play.
I guess you can put these mini sentries in because they don't cost much, and you know they're not so permanent. You end up seeing them in places where no one would ever put a normal sentry, just
Yeah,
random.
it's like that was obviously meant to be the more sort of offensive
Interesting.
engineer unlock, where it's like while you're
Meant
on
to be,
attack,
yeah.
you can just quickly dump a sentry on the point you're attacking.
Right.
But of course, now people just do that with level 3 sentries. It's like I built a level 3 sentry at the spawn, and I'm just going to carry it to the point.
So what's
yeah,
the other?
you see
what's
that
the
quite a
power
lot, don't you?
glove
Like
thing?
sentries going up in stupid starting positions just because the NG will carry it out of the spawn, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
So the glove thing that allows you to build them, right? Is that...
Yeah, it
Right.
replaces your normal turret with the
see.
mini turret, and it has a pointless where like if you melee someone, if you make 3 melee hits in a row, you automatically get a crit because it's like a combo.
Right. Yeah. So
Not that that's ever going to happen.
to be honest, it sounds like I'm not going to change my loadout, but I am looking forward to being able to move my buildings. That's freaking
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like that's the only thing. It's, yeah, even if you don't really like any of the actual unlock weapons, moving buildings just changes everything
It's a huge buff
in
to
some
engineers.
good ways and some stupid ways.
Yeah.
It's really annoying because it moves.
It's making everything slightly more unpredictable, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Well, yeah, but I think it moves the balance too much in favor of attacking because obviously now when you're attacking you can move your sentries up really easily, which is the first thing. But also defensive engineers have really bad habits of like moving their sentries around for almost no reason. It's like, oh, I just want to move this slightly into a different place, and then at that exact moment all the enemies come in and then they just kill it while it's setting back
Well, they
up.
should learn
Like-
from that. That's their own bloody
Well,
fault. Yeah.
So attacking NGs, as we said a second ago, they always had a bit of a bum deal, really, because other than teleporters, and which are massively useful, let's not get rid of that
Yeah.
idea. But
It's
other
easy
than
to
setting
to
up the
underestimate.
teleporters and the dispenser, it's a fairly dull existence. So they
That's
needed
true, but-
this.
I still think my emergency teleport idea was cool. Never mind. That'll never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but
Now you can. I think the funniest thing is how you can, because you can move all your buildings, like obviously the dispenser and the teleporters as well.
right.
But the thing is, once you've picked up a building, you can still teleport. So it's like you can pick up your building and go through someone else's teleporter.
So do people now build a teleport entrance and build an exit next to it, and then pick up the exit and move it where it wants to be, rather than?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you
I
move
mean,
slow when you're carrying buildings?
Yeah, slower.
I wonder. They should probably make it so that you move slower and slower depending on the level of your sentry, so that by the time it's
would
a level
be
3,
somewhat balancing, yeah.
yeah. Because then you can move a small sentry, across the map relatively quickly. But level 3, you'd have to really lug it.
I think the annoying thing is, it's like I haven't quite worked out whether it's quicker to demolish your teleporter entrance and rebuild a new one and then upgrade to level 3 when your spawn moves, or whether it's actually worth less time to walk all the way back to your first spawn, pick up the entrance, move it all the way up to where your new spawn is, and then pick up the exit and move that further forwards.
I bet someone's worked that out already. That'll be on TF2 Wiki.
Yeah, hopefully.
Someone's
Because
gotta
that is
start
one of
work.
those things where it's like, you can't, it's not quite clear which would be quicker.
Did you see that the TF2 Wiki has now become official?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Valve have bought it or whatever. That's
Fairly
really cool.
awesome
right?
because it gets rid of all those shitty adverts.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, and I heard something about almost an inbuilt game sort of encyclopedia thing called the Armory or something, whereby you can look up like weapon stats and stuff from within the game.
Maybe
or something.
using the TF2 wiki.
Yeah,
that's
possibly.
why
I
they
don't think
wanted
I've seen that actually in game.
No, it's not in game
No.
yet. I think they're talking about it or something. I saw some
Oh.
post about it. or
Well,
something.
that would probably be pretty useful.
it. Yeah,
Really,
I
what it
imagine
needs to
they'd
be is just a
probably
link
tap
on the
into-
guns where it's like you push the button, it opens the wiki page.
Yeah,
in the
but
in-game browser.
yeah, in the
That'd be
in-game Steam
fine.
browser. That's probably what it will do, something along those lines. Anyway, that's cool. So interesting. I'm looking forward to getting back up and into that game. That'll be fun.
Really, all the
Yeah.
internet update has done is given me a whole lot of points for destroying sentry turrets. Because at the moment on the HL stats, it doesn't differentiate between mini sentries and regular sentries,
Oh,
so they're both worth the same amount of points. And the mini sentries die in like 1 arrow if they're not wrangled. So I just
Really?
like arrows. Killing
must
all
be
your
fun.
fingers. Point.
Oh, that must be fun. I guess you with the direct hit are having even more fun, Rob.
Oh yeah, it's just like you see one point shoot gone. Moving on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just like 3 points. I'll take those. Thank you. I'm increasing my most destructions per life. Lol.
Yeah. I think I did that with a couple of classes Thursday.
I think I did as well on my sniper, where it's like 9 now. Used to be 8 though, so it's not really a big increase.
So, you've been playing anything else on your PC?
Well, there's been the regular sort of standard Eve elements.
Which looks identical, I imagine.
Still have. Well, no, actually, I turned it up to full now. I mean, it looks the same as it was on the Mac, obviously, because that could just about handle it on full. But now, like,
You can
on
run
PC,
that
I
with-
have it on full.
You can run that on like multi-screen, can't you? And not that you have multi-screen, but that might
I
be
do
a
currently
possible
have
benefit.
another monitor at the moment, but I
Oh.
don't really use it for anything. Because it's
Is
like,
that
I
true,
don't really... You can put it into like multi-screen on Eve, but I'm not sure how that's actually helpful. And
Right.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure what it's like nowadays, and I'd hope it's different, but it used to be really dumb where it was like, it didn't account for the fact that there was obviously the middle of the screens is where you don't want to put anything, so your ship would still be on the interface between the two screens.
That's
It's like,
uber lame.
that's dumb.
That's not really multi-screen at all, is it? That's just a botch,
No.
really, isn't it? Yeah, well, we'll see.
I have been thinking about maybe trying to turn that on, because you need a lot of screen real estate in Eve. There's all kinds of like windows and shit that take up the entire goddamn screen.
I'm hoping that, like, with this, I don't know if this will be possible for a while, but with this PC I'm borrowing, I might be able to put another graphics card in Crossfire and have 3 screens and have, surround or gaming. I could probably do that with something like Quake 3 Arena. That'd be hilarious. Well, the problem is that, like, my desktop resolutions are slightly mismatched because I have that widescreen one where the vertical resolution is obviously 1080 because it's 1080p, and then the other ones are 1280 by 1024. So that slight mismatch might be a slight problem. If
they're your peripheries, it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind if it just cuts off a little bit at the bottom. It shouldn't really be a problem. But things might get suddenly slightly larger as you turn to the...
Depends on the game, really. The problem with most games is you'll probably actually lose vision range because it will be...
That's true.
Squishing it weirdly and stuff. So you'll probably actually lose vision, or the middle screen will appear overly zoomed. Is one option.
Yeah.
It will either be overly zoomed or it'll work as you want it and that you can see more. But no guarantee on that. I mean, there's a lot of moves, actually. I was reading up on this fairly recently about ATI's move towards what they call iFinity, which is like the multi-monitor solution. And they're trying to show off the fact that you can run games over 6 monitors at insane resolution. Yeah. Except, as you say, nobody seems to have solved the problem of the annoying black lines between screens. And
it needs to, like,
ATI's own solution
pillar,
seems to put the reticles right in the bar, which is... Yeah. Terrible, I still don't see the point unless they can, a 3-screen setup I wholeheartedly understand, but a 6-screen, really?
Yeah. Well, sometimes they have 6 screens. What is that? Where you have 2 rows of 3?
Yeah.
Right.
3 by 2.
Oh, I see. Basically. And then you have you're talking about the reticle being in the middle of the 2 that you're looking at.
The top and bottom layer. Yeah.
Right. No, that's not so good, is it?
Well,
I guess it's good for
even if you had it the other way round. Like a 2 across, 3 down, the reticle would still be in the halfway point vertically rather than horizontally. It just doesn't work.
Well, yeah, what sort of desk setup are you having where the middle of the top, the top of the first monitor is sort of at your eye level? It's bad enough for a normal monitor to get the middle of the screen sort of at the correct height to look at.
I think that's basically good for like
multi-screen rigs. The sort of bar is at eye level. So it's
that's not so good. Really, I think you want your eye level to be slightly below the top of the bottom screen in the middle, and then you want so you can just see more sky effectively.
Weirdly, that was one of their suggestions that developers could build with iFinity in mind, and perhaps if they've detected like a 6-screen rig, you can move the center point around.
Yeah, because you can already do that with like a flight sim, can't you?
Your preferred central zone, and so it still works.
it just seems weird that it can't, that everything can't just do that. It's like that's not just some kind of. Why isn't that just like a built-in thing that graphics cards can do, where it's like multiple screens, you can shift the middle of the display that it's projecting?
Well,
I don't really
Infinity
understand why
might
they're
do
investigating
that.
this at all. Why not just reduce the price of those lovely Apple monitors?
What, just huge monitors? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are good. It's much better to have a big monitor than to have
Because
lots
they
of
won't
little
make
ones.
any money off better monitors. It's like the graphics card companies are trying to improve the way they do it with their graphics cards, rather than
Well, why don't
saying,
ATI get on the bandwagon and do 3D properly like Nvidia are?
well, that's yeah. I guess that.
If I could
That
borrow-
makes more sense.
Think about it. If I could borrow a couple of 360s, I could play Forza in surround, couldn't I? Because that worked, didn't it?
That
Forza
would
2,
be
and
awesome, actually.
Probably Forza 3 has the same. I don't know. It might have the same tech.
I think it does. I think Forza
Right.
3 and 2 both have the 3 Xbox possibility. Well, actually, I think it had the ability to do 4, because you could use 1 as a rear view.
Right. Actually, think about it. It wouldn't quite work, though, because with my smaller monitors, what it would do is it would just letterbox it. So
Oh, yeah, of
so the
course.
sides
So it
would be
look a bit
small.
weird.
Yeah. I think it would do that. Don't know. Because you can set the 360 to the right resolution. It's just most games will then letterbox from there. But some don't. Like Halo 3 filled the screen, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, some games might. So maybe it can
Actually,
handle
in
it.
a way, on a 4x3, Halo 3 would probably run slightly better, because it probably wouldn't pillar box and the split screen.
Oh, I'm looking forward to Reach now. I'm quite excited after that E3 stuff. I think
I am.
I
I
think
think it's going to be awesome.
I think I'm going to get it, and with this setup here, I'll be able to play it, Xbox Live, which I haven't played games over Xbox Live multiplayer for almost ever. I mean, I used to play Halo 2, but that was a long time ago. So me and you'll be able to play it, Rob,
Those were
and
the days.
and we can report on the Saladcast, and I even have my PC, so we'll be able to go on TeamSpeak instead of using the built-in chat if necessary.
Totally awesome.
So that will be.
Well,
sweet.
I still don't really have a working Xbox headset. I'm working my
No.
way through a collection of old Xbox headsets that still work.
Because you got given that
They're all
free
weirdly
wireless
bugged.
one, didn't you?
strange ways.
Yeah, I got given that free wireless headset because my Xbox has broken so many times, and then that broke in a month. And
How many times have you had the red ring of death?
5 now, I think.
5 times. Yeah.
5 repairs, yeah. Well, technically it's 6 repairs. 5 red rings of death and 6 repairs because one time they returned it to be busted.
Oh. How busted? As in it had the red ring?
No, it had overheating issues that caused the
Oh.
games to have a weird orange checkerboard
Oh,
display on
graphics
screen as it
glitches.
froze.
No. It's good that the new Xbox has the built-in Wi-Fi. That's nice. Although there's no real benefit really. It's quieter and stuff, isn't it? You know.
Yes. Speaking of displays again, I want to go back because
Yeah.
we've had a pre-production US model of a Sony 3D TV in the office for a week now.
Right. Okay.
I'll admit it's pre-production,
Yeah.
and I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but never mind.
Did you sign anything?
No, I didn't sign anything. It's fine.
Oh, okay then.
You know, they're out now. I'm sure we can all talk about it
Yeah.
freely. But anyway, it was a pre-production version, and honestly, not impressed.
Hmm.
There's way too much crosstalk between the left and right eye. Way too much.
Is this
Um,
because Sony really have to get they're in a tricky point here because their competitors are going to jump on this 3D thing because Sony are the market leader in TV or whatever and their Bravia and
no,
everything.
absolutely, yeah.
But if they don't get this right, they're in serious trouble. You know, because PlayStation 3 is getting better, but for a long time they were making a big loss on that. And if they screw up their entertainment TV side of things, and someone like Samsung comes in with better 3D or something, then they're in serious trouble. You know.
Yeah, as I say, I've seen Samsung's offering as well in PC world, of all places. And
Yeah.
that looked better. It did
Right.
look better, and the fact that was pretty damn good. But the annoying thing is that none of them are still as good as having a Samsung monitor and an Nvidia kit.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not perfect, but none of the 3D TVs I've seen have bested that yet.
No, I think buying a 3D TV is a real stab in the dark right now, and it will be for a while.
Apart from, we've also got I've also had a chance to play with a JVC polarized screen.
Oh yeah.
And while it makes some terrible design choices, seriously terrible ideas,
Hello JVC.
it's properly awful. For instance, like the only 3D formats it can accept are side by side, where you take the two frames and encode it into a single image, basically. So you take a normal 1920 1080 image, and you have the left and right eyes make up half of it.
Is that how
Which
Sky
makes
is doing
sense,
it?
side by side, except for the fact that they've then vertically polarized each. Well, they've polarized each at every other line,
Right.
meaning so you've lost half the resolution of the image by doing side by side. So then
Right.
JVC go, I know, let's lose the other half of
Other
the
half. So
by
you're quartering
polarizing it in lines
effective
across the screen
resolution.
rather than vertically.
Hmm.
Dumbass.
And does it go weird when you tilt your head?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although
Does that happen with the Sony as well? Does that always happen? Oh no, that's
it
not
happens much worse on the Sony.
Right.
On the JVC,
That's not gonna
actually,
be
it's
any
not so
good.
bad. It just discolors.
They're not. People aren't going to have that in living rooms. There's going to be
Oh, no.
news
God, no.
stories. There's going to
They're
be.
not going to have the
complaints.
JVC because it's $6,500.
Oh yeah, I know, but that will be the technology
That's
by
first
the
generation,
time.
though, obviously, when everything
Yeah.
is super expensive.
That's
Well,
true.
they've been making these. There's been production models of polarized tellies about, but not available to the consumer generally, for about 3 years now. They have been around. The flicker TVs are the ones that are new to the scene, and it's just the way forward because of the resolution. It's just that the people that have been doing polarized screens have just made bad decisions.
I think that. I mean, I know you're the expert in this area because you work in this, region. But I just think that 3D cinema, the success of Avatar and 3D cinema, is pushing 3D TV when the technology isn't quite mature enough. It's nearly there, but
I think you're right.
Everyone's in a
It's
rush, and they should just
TV
take their time and
technology,
get it right.
It's more to do with like the individual pixels. I think the problem is not that the glasses are a bad tech, not that the active flicker. I think that's a good way to go because you get the full resolution.
Yeah.
And I don't think the tellies are bad tellies for 2D. I think that the fact that the big screen suffers is that obviously it's having to generate more brightness, therefore the actual response time of the pixel is probably not great enough. Or I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the issue is, but all I know is that they're not as good as a PC monitor attempting to do 3D.
No, because that's got right in your face and very bright, and it's got a lot of advantages, isn't it? Really. In some
Yeah.
ways.
Although I really do see 3D gaming being a good thing as soon as someone starts to get it right.
Yeah, I think it could be cool. I think
Weirdly, one of the best examples I've seen, because I've played the PlayStation 3D stuff now,
Oh yeah.
like including Wipeout and stuff like that. Wipeout becomes really, really hard in 3D.
I love
Really
that
hard.
when like new stuff that's supposed to make stuff cool just makes stuff a lot. Like when you're trying to play Forza with a steering wheel and you switch back to and you're thinking this is really cool and realistic and stuff. You switch back to a gamepad and suddenly your lap time's like 2 seconds quicker, and you're like, oh. Damn.
That was the
Yeah.
classic, like in Colin McRae 4, where it's like you can play it with a steering wheel if you want to be hardcore, but doing it with the keyboard makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't play Forza any other way because it's not
No.
the same game without the wheel. But
It's not, no.
yeah, it's fucking annoying that
Yeah.
there's just like so much. It is actually quite a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's gay, but yeah,
You wouldn't wanna
Wipeout
play online with
looks amazing, but the half frame rate is a big killer. It makes the game virtually unplayable at the higher speeds.
It's a shame because, I don't know, because obviously that relies heavily on a high frame rate, but it always has had a very high frame rate on that one, hasn't it? Wipeout HD. Like 60, isn't it, at least?
Yep.
Isn't it?
Solid
Yeah.
60.
I guess when you half that, for that kind of game, you're suddenly in trouble. aren't you?
It makes a big difference, and not in a good way. The 3D effect is pretty good though. Apart from being able to see the HUD is quite difficult, but
Right. Yeah. It's a very stylized HUD anyway, isn't it, on Wipeout?
yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
I guess,
as I say, Stardust HD, I didn't really see the point, to be honest, because it's mostly, it's a game you basically play in 2D. Its style, like
Okay.
Geometry Wars style things. Except for the fact, it looks bloody awesome in 3D. It keeps the frame rate. When the asteroids fall on the planet and come past your head, it looks excellent.
hmm.
It's seriously very good. That would be the game I'd use to sell people on 3D. Not Wipeout, not Motorstorm,
Which
because
is
that
weird
looked like
because it's such a
crap.
tiny, tiny game.
Yeah. It looks the business in 3D.
I'm not sure if that bodes well though. Like, if you're talking about like adding 3D effects to what is essentially like a pretty like Geometry Wars, like if you added 3D to Geometry Wars or whatever, and so that when everything exploded, it kind of came into your face and looked really cool. You know,
Well, it
that
sort
makes...
of does. That's how they do the effect. It's like the Geometry Wars has that awesome. Geometry Wars 2 at least has that awesome cheat where you can view the world in 3D.
Oh yeah.
And you can see that the sparks actually come out of the level and stuff. So that could work in 3D because everything would just be exploding in your face, as you say, and it would be awesome.
But my only problem with that is that that's really cool, but that is kind of shows
utterly
that
pointless. Yeah,
it kind of
3D.
shows that 3D is more of a gimmick than it is a real gaming. You know, you see what I mean? I mean, it might look really cool, but
I think
not...
they're still trying to work out. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's very difficult. It's like doing, well, you know, we know from trying to do subtitles for 3D, positioning anything that you would normally use as a hint in a game, for instance, like a HUD indicator or something floating above someone's head, you know, that kind of stuff, is very hard in real 3D.
Yeah.
To get it right so you can actually see it.
I don't think the web is going to be in 3D for a while. Put it that way.
No. Well, the other problem is that the PlayStation really isn't powerful enough to do the job.
Right.
Because of the frame rate loss in Wipeout, the game has suffered because of it. The other game they have, which I've seen, is the MotorStorm Rift demo, which they've made in 3D, and it just looks god ugly. They've had to kill so much of the graphical finesse that's in MotorStorm. It's really not worth it.
It's a shame because it's like you're instantly requiring basically double the performance, or at least double the frame rate. I mean, can you imagine? You know, Grand Theft Auto 4 in 3D would run at about 10 frames per second. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Saying that, I have seen Grand Theft Auto 4 running in 3D on the NVIDIA kit.
Oh, right, of course, on PC. I guess you can do that with brute force.
Actually looked pretty good, apart from some effects, which look really fucking weird.
Yeah, because they're not optimized, I guess.
No, shadows, for instance. They get rendered at screen depth rather than at the actual depth, so they appear in front of everything.
That's really weird. Because they already look a bit funny, because they're kind of, the dithering has to be quite low quality just to maintain the frame rate, because it's casting shadows off this amazing world. You know, sometimes the edges of shadows look very strange not strange, but you know, they're not quite right. Because you need that kind of penumbra, don't you, where the shadow changes from its full blackness across a gradient to the point where light actually, you know, the end of the shadow. That's what you don't get in like the Doom 3 engine, where the shadows are just black and then there's almost a straight line, isn't there, between the black and that doesn't look... It looks really cool initially, but it's not realistic, because in a real shadow, as I say, as a gradient there, whatever. So that would look...
In summary, I still believe 3D will push gaming. You know, gaming will push 3D, and that eventually it will be the way we're doing things. But at the minute, it all feels a bit like, you know how you watch something on telly and you think, man, that's really slick, and then you go and see it in real life and you think, oh, okay, it's not quite so glamorous as I expect it. It's like when I was at the F1 a couple of weeks back. The you know, you think it's the most glamorous sporting event you could possibly think of, really. Yeah. And yet you're still sat in scaffolding.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and there are trucks and gravel and barbecues and chip vans. You know, it's
it's champagne and grid girls and
at the minute I think 3D is the same thing in that it's nice, but it's sort of, because games are developed for 2D, the 3D just shows up all their issues.
That's true.
And that's how I'd describe it. But I'd love to see where it goes. Yep.
So, Rob Kemp, what have you been playing since we met?
This is going to be a fucking weird conversation because it's been a bit limited.
That's okay, because so is mine. So just go for it.
Well, no, it's not limited because of internet so much, because obviously I could have done other things, but just out of ease and busyness.
Rob has been playing Tile Manager 2010.
Grout Man.
Grout Man. Tylophon 2010.
Fuck it out.
So
I'll tell you what.
it?
Grouting tiles is a right pain in the ass.
Have they let
Well,
the ball...
it's actually easy, right? But we made the colossal mistake. Like, when you're grouting tiles, apparently with normal grout, you leave it for about 10-15 minutes, and then you wipe it off the tiles, so you leave that nice sheen. With this grout we were using, from home base, name drop, the stuff basically dried in like 60 seconds, so we went back to clean up the mess we did before, and it had gone fucking solid. So we spent hours trying to scrub this shit off the tiles.
Oh no!
And we made that mistake 3 times.
Did it not say on the bloody packet?
How did you make it 3 times? Did you realise?
Well, we made the mistake first after about 15 minutes, and then spent like an hour scrubbing the bastard off. So then it was like, right, we're going to do this again. Except we'll scrub up. Except that still wasn't quite quick enough. We still didn't get it right, so it's still fucking dry. So we scrubbed all that off. And then just as I got good at it, the gnome thought, it's like, can I do some grouting for a bit? And I'm like, sure, fine. So she made the mistake.
Of course.
So yeah, basically it was a colossal fucking disaster. And
But now you have tiles, unlike, believe it or not, your last house's shower, which did not have tiles up the side. So
that was pretty
It didn't have
damn
sufficient
stupid.
tiles, at least.
No,
Yeah, for the only room with a shower head, they didn't bother... Yeah, just to explain this, for the only room with a shower head, they didn't bother tiling up half of the wall, meaning that the water just went all over the painted wall and eventually peeled off. Like, the paintwork and stuff started peeling. Basically, it was a super retarded idea. It makes sense if you've got a proper shower cubicle and a bath, because you're probably not going to use the bath as a shower then. But because this was a bath stroke shower, and they'd only tiled halfway, it's fucking stupid.
And what's more, the actual hook that holds the shower head on was very low down as well.
Knee height.
Yeah, you had to sort of bath shower, didn't you? Yeah, it was not good.
You had to kneel to the gods of showering.
Every day. Oh.
Well, it was like trying to, I don't know how like, I suppose, have you ever seen a woman dye her hair and they sort of dipping it in the sink?
Yeah.
A bit like that.
That scene in Lost in Translation where the shower head is too low, which I'm sure is a complete exaggeration, because the joke is that Bill Murray is a tall American and he's in a Japanese hotel, and Japanese people are relatively short, so on average, so the shower head is very low, and you find that difficult. But I bet if you go to a proper hotel in Tokyo, the shower head is as freaking high as you blooming want, because they have enough.
Yeah, probably. They'd probably
Western
cope with it
businessmen.
nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was a similar situation.
Unless he was being cheap. We were staying in a cheap hotel.
No, it's a very, very posh hotel that movie is set in. In fact, my dad stayed there once. I think. It's like very tall. Yes,
Unless Bill Murray is like the tallest man in the world.
He's pretty tall, I think. Yeah. But he's not a giant. So, Tile of Tron 2010.
Yes, I've been playing.
Tile-a-thon.
I've been playing the 5-day tile challenge. I've also been playing DIY Fail.
Yes,
Because basically I can't DIY, it seems, just in general. Classic moment came as I was drilling the holes, basically, to put the blinds up. First of all, a couple of the holes, even though I'd marked them out really precisely and stuff, and spent ages making sure they were correct, somehow, after I drilled the holes, they weren't fucking right, and they were off by, like, enough so I couldn't actually put the places in to fit these blind brackets in them. So we had to fill them in and do them fucking again. So that was stage 1 of suck. But even after I then got them in, we then tried to fit the blind, and when we did it, I wasn't here at the time, so I missed out on the hilarious moment of when the brackets fell out. Just sort of, there we go, there's the blind.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, basically I fail at DIY, so I've been doing a lot of that. Well,
Okay.
I say I've been doing none of that since I failed. So
Yeah, you stopped doing that as soon as you failed.
I stopped playing DIY Fail, because it sucked balls.
Not with a very good gameplay on that one, yeah. Just delete that from your hard disk.
And then during the move, conveniently, just before we started moving, was the day my lovely iPhone 4 arrived.
Ooh.
So, to be perfectly honest, probably the majority of my gaming time has been spent on a combination of Carcassonne for iPhone.
Is that good? Well, as you're about to tell us, I guess. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been playing on. Anyway, yes, pretty much. It's about as faithful a representation of the board game as you can get. It doesn't quite have the pizzazz of the Xbox version. It's not quite as addictive, and I don't know why.
Right. It's weird because, like we're saying,
Like
I
whips
mean,
and horses.
you'd think the iPhone
Yeah,
would be
there's
powerful
no
enough
like
to
horse
support
whipping
that.
noises. In fact, the road noise instead of like horses going is now just obviously someone with a cheap mic bashing some coconuts. It's like talk 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 talk. Not, it wasn't an Irish horse. I just want to point that out.
Monty
Talk
Python's
talk
Holy
talk talk
Grail.
talk talk.
Oh dear. So that's the. Is
But-
that how much is that game? Do you have to pay for it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's currently £3, which is a bargain. Really, it's
Hmm.
not that bad, but I
too
suppose
bad.
it's reasonably expensive for an iPhone app. But
Hmm.
eventually, it will get more expensive. So buy now if you're interested.
Oh really?
Um,
Oh god. Okay.
Yeah, apparently the price will probably double. I think they said when they finished the iPad version.
Have they made it Retina
It is-
display
it is-
compatible, as they say, which means
Fortunately, yeah, I think because they
Resolution.
designed it with iPad in mind, the graphics do scale nicely to the new iPhone 4 screen.
cool. That's good.
So you could, basically, not quite sure how it would be playable on a normal iPhone screen because I find myself zooming out quite a lot so I can see the entire game board, and without the extra resolution that you get on iPhone 4, surely that would just become a pixelated mess. So it's.
I'll have to
I think it's
I'll
quite well suited to iPhone 4, and presumably it would be well suited to iPad as well. But
imagine so.
might be a try before you buy if they release a free version on everything else.
Oh man, if you get an iPad, we'll have to play that hilarious Scrabble. The most expensive Scrabble set
Totally.
ever. Where you all have iPhones and they are your rack of
I
letters.
do know someone with an iPad. I'll see if I can borrow it at some point.
Well, we'd have to all have an iPhone and be there. So you and me so far, we probably need a couple.
Oh,
more.
and Gnome. Gnome has an
Oh,
iPhone
and
as
Naomi.
well.
Okay, so there you go.
The three of us.
That would be hilarious.
So we can play Apple Scrabble.
Yeah.
And a million points goes to the first person that can put Apple on the board.
Yeah, I bet so.
You don't want to play that. You want to play it on the hardcore, old school 80s Scrabble board.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we normally do.
There's so much.
Because that
Well,
thing
to be
is
honest,
clearly the best.
We do augment
with
that
the
with
swivel board that we can't
Yes,
be asked
once-
to
once
use
you
because
have
it
a-
wobbles too much.
yeah.
Once you have a proper table, we might actually be able to use that. Because it will be, if it's not on a coffee table, but it's instead on a table that's at like table height, we'll be significantly less likely to knock it over.
Yeah,
Still
we play
fucking
Trivial
wobbly
Pursuit
too
and
much,
stuff.
I think.
thing.
So Carcassonne recommended for iPhone. If you
Yeah,
like.
it is good. And then I've even managed to get the online play to work. Although
Ooh.
the time constraints aren't so bad. I got a bit confused with how they advertised the online play, to be honest, because basically it plays exactly the same as the Xbox version. You even
Right.
get a skill rating that's sort of done in the same way as chess match skill ratings. So, like a point system. So if you beat someone better than you, you get a lot of points. If you beat someone worse than you don't really gain anything.
That's cool.
That kind of skill-based system, which is quite nice.
Like a seeding thing. Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, it works kind of nice, but I thought it would work in the sense that you could play it like email chess, for instance.
Yeah.
So
you could walk
you-
away from it. Like.
Yeah, so you can walk away and then you email your next move into the guy as one way of playing. But no, it plays exactly like the Xbox version in that there's time limits per move. It's just
Right.
that it makes use of multitasking. So if you have to break out while your opponent's making a move, for instance, the phone will let you know when it's your turn again.
Okay, that's kind of with a push notification saying
Yeah,
hello. it's your
basically.
turn. Oh, that's kind
Except
of
it does support proper multitasking, so you don't have to wait for it to start up again. So it's
I wonder if this kind of thing will be kind of solved by this. What's it called? Game Center, like the Xbox Live Arcade of iPhones,
Yeah.
which is coming
I'm
soon.
a little
isn't it?
disappointed that hasn't turned up yet.
It's on its way, but I saw a screenshot where they changed the visual look of it and made it look like a lot friendlier and cooler than it initially did. But I don't know. But if they can, lay down the groundwork for multiplayer basically, so that developers can just use an SDK to plug that into their games, then could be good. I mean, are you playing that over 3G?
You can do, yeah, I have done.
Awesome, and it works
I have
just
played,
as well as
I have
Wi-Fi.
played it
doesn't
online over 3G whilst waiting for new tiles to be fitted to my car.
Cool.
No, I said, did I just say tiles?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
You meant
Yeah,
tiles,
I was just getting a
Too
new
many
floor
tiles.
fitted in the car.
Too many tiles. Yeah. Okay. So is that basically all you've played for a month, Carcassonne?
No, not that bad, not that bad. I haven't actually played it as much as I was expecting on, because as I say, it just, for some reason, it doesn't have the addictive quality that I found in the Xbox version. Probably
Right.
because there aren't the leaderboards and things and stuff like that. There isn't a ranking table, as far as I can tell. And if they added that, it would probably get the addiction back for me.
I still think Peggle is the ultimate iPhone game. I mean, I've got Plants vs Zombies and stuff now,
Oh,
but I
that
just
and
keep
Bookworm.
playing Peggle. Yeah, but it's like so good. You can literally have 1 minute spare and still have a good time playing Peggle for that minute before you have to get on the bus. So good. Love
And
it.
apparently they've also done a sort of update of late to sort of make it slightly more happy with iOS 4. So
Yeah, it's got the
presumably that
multitasking
means even
update.
better.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It just means it sort of pauses when you change to another app, and then it's smoother on the multitasking.
I was about to say, one if they've actually told it so if you zoom, if the game is zoomed out or something, it renders it and uses a better scaling algorithm so it looks nice on the screen. But
Well,
because I'll tell you one game that
does.
doesn't do that irritatingly, and still looks low res, Angry Birds.
I don't know that. What's that?
You don't know Angry Birds? Oh my god, it's only like the top game on the App Store at the moment.
I don't care. I just play Peggle. But go ahead. I've never played Flight Control because I always play Peggle. So.
I don't know. Flight Control passed me by.
Oh, that's a famous one. I don't know. Never
You
played
guys
it.
aren't into it enough, really, to know every
No, not
game.
really.
You each have like the one, and it's like I'm sticking to this.
Hey,
Peggle rules.
I'm a relatively new convert.
That's true. I'm sure you'll have much to
bought
report.
Peggle on Steam though.
Sensible.
And I bought it on XBLA.
Oh yeah.
I hope they bring Peggle Nights and all the extra levels to iPhone before long. That'd be nice. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
carry
about
on.
damn time.
Yeah.
Been out for over a year now, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
they probably should.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I've been playing Angry Birds. It's basically like an evolution of the classic sort of tank shell game,
Right.
except it's more of a puzzler. It's do you remember the mission mode from Worms Armageddon and stuff? Where you sort of get a certain number of turns and a certain sort of set of rules in order to kill the enemy. And
Vaguely. Zach will know better than I do.
Yeah. It was sort of in Worms Reinforcements as well. They put in like the mission mode. Although obviously that was old Worms, so that was slightly different.
Because Reinforcements was the expansion pack for the original Worms, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's old. That's before the cartoony look, and when a worm was literally made up of the number of pixels you could count on the fingers of your hand.
Yeah. But anyway, Angry Birds. Imagine sort of so it's a bit like that. You sort of you have a stationary fixed point on which is placed a catapult, and you fire some slightly aggravated looking birds across the level in a vain attempt to kill some evil pigs who are weirdly spherical and green.
Spherical green pigs. Okay.
Yeah, basically. But so you basically huss these birds across. Different birds have different abilities, in order to get revenge on the pigs who stole and ate your eggs. But the retarded thing is that the plot of this game doesn't really make any sense. The game is amazing because it's sort of a puzzler because you've got to use your birds wisely to kill them all and get it right and not fuck up basically. And
Okay.
there's physicsy elements to it as well because certain structures fall apart and stuff, which is quite nice. But I don't really get the story because if they're pissed off at these birds. They should have called it Pissed Off Birds. That would have been a better game. If they're pissed off at these pigs for stealing their eggs and eating them, presumably preemptively killing their offspring, then how are there so many fucking birds doing suicide runs on pigs? Because they hurt themselves and explode and. Most of them sort of die with a satisfying...
Why did you end up overthinking this so much?
He had a lot of time to think about this while he's waiting for the tires to dry. It's like, why the hell are these birds doing this in this game? What's their rationale?
Yeah. It's like... Actually, I don't know what it's like. It's just fucked up.
When you said Angry Birds, I imagined like a game where you were a bird that had to poo on people's heads or something.
Well, there is one bird that well, there is one bird that lays explosive eggs as he's flying through the air.
Okay.
Which they could look a bit like poo, I suppose.
Mm.
Are you sure it's not actually meant to be food?
It probably is. Well, maybe it was, but they thought that was a bit too. They tried to lower their age rating or something, but so made it an egg.
Because obviously
anyway.
giving birth in midair is so much less creepy and weird than shitting in midair.
Laying an egg isn't quite the same as birthing. I don't really fancy the idea of seeing a baby giraffe come out the back of a flying giraffe.
What the fuck?
Because it would sort of slop onto the battlefield.
Flying giraffes. Giraffes have such long necks. Maybe he's thinking they're like an airliner, like a long tube. The neck of the giraffe. Oh dear.
With jet engines strapped to the base of their feet.
Yeah. So yes.
So yeah, Angry Birds, totally awesome.
Okay.
It's huge as well, so it'll take you a long time to get through it.
Okay. I will look into that one if I. Anyone? I've been forced
It's
to
cheap.
download.
It's like 70p, I think.
I was forced to download that Doodle Jump game, which is also about 50p. I don't know if you tried that one, but that one's.
I saw it. I haven't played
It's
it.
very throwaway. It's popular, but it just uses the tilt sensor, and you just tilt to move left and right effectively as your guy jumps up. It jumps through platforms and then lands on them, right? But if it falls off the bottom of the screen, then you die. So you have to just move left and right by tilting the iPhone in order to land on platforms and not fall off the bottom every time. So you just keep going up and up and up and up, basically.
That's kind of cool.
It's
So
kind of
that
cool.
arcade game, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
jump thing.
Yeah, it's probably the same as that. Yeah. So I've got that, but yeah, I'll look into
what
Angry
game that
Birds.
was.
So yeah,
Okay.
other than playing that and obviously quite a bit of Mass Effect 2, get me up to the 40-hour mark. I did do a couple of hours of Lost Odyssey. Nothing really
Because you
interesting
still haven't
happened.
finished that.
Still
No.
playing through that.
Nothing
There you get
interesting
there.
happened. I finished Uncharted though, because I didn't have much of that left to do, so I finished that.
Oh yeah, has that got a good ending to its story and stuff?
Yeah,
is it
it's pretty
cliffhanger
damn
or
cool. I'm thoroughly impressed with that game. It deserves a replay.
I really want to play that. I'm gonna see if I can play that so that we can talk about it. So
Both the first and second games are definitely worth playing. They are very
Right.
good. It's
I'll
weird
bear
because
that
the
in
first
mind.
one's very good, and the second one raises the bar.
I was thinking of
it's
jumping to
incredible.
the sequel, but if you say, I'll probably if you think it's worth it, I'll probably play the first game.
Oh, definitely. They're both worth playing.
All right, cool. Let's do that. Think of jumping straight to Mario Galaxy 2 as well. Even though
You probably should. I don't think
Do
it's
you
really
think?
worth playing one.
Yeah.
You think?
That
Okay.
wouldn't, yeah, that's probably okay.
Unless
because of
you're really desperate for a shit ton of Mario.
I love
But
how
one game is not going to be enough. You can double
love-
the amount of games.
Yeah, that's true. I love how Yahtzee's getting pissed off about the story in Mario. You know, what? Have you seen this? He's getting on 0 punctuation. He's getting annoyed that the story isn't consistent. It's like, it's a Mario game. Shut up.
Yeah.
The story does not matter. I don't know. I guess he has a point, but
Well,
still.
no, suicidal birds. That must matter something.
That's true. That's true.
Although when you said a shit ton of Mario, for some reason there, like coming off what we were just talking about, I got an image of Yoshi flying through the air, giving birth to Mario.
Yoshi does lay eggs.
Lay eggs. Yeah, Yoshi does.
Yeah, I
lay eggs.
know. That's why giving birth to Mario was a bit fucked up.
And Yoshi even sort of flies because he does that meow thing with his legs, doesn't he? So you could do that.
Well, he's probably-
Well,
And he makes the appropriate sound for giving birth to Mario.
Right.
Right. So moving on. So I've been playing a few games, not very many.
I'm
because
not
I've
done.
Been moving. Oh, you're not done. Shit. I thought all you talk about iPhone games for like half an hour, and I think this is not like yeah.
Well, hold on. I've actually got some fairly important cutting-edge news.
Oh, let's hear it.
I was building up to it, and you
I always
kind of
like cutting
led
edge.
me onto it with the Wii.
Oh, so what's new?
Now,
what's new?
what's the one game we were mildly interested in hearing about on the Wii that was coming out, other than Mario Galaxy 2?
Other than Mario Galaxy 2. Well, for me, nothing. But I is that Metroid? Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yes. Metroid's the
Metroid
triple
Other
pack.
M. I've
Oh,
had
Other
some
M.
game time.
Is that out?
No.
Okay, this is awesome.
They-
Okay,
Nintendo had a booth at Comic Con, which I had the misfortune of being at.
Comic Con, isn't that in San Diego?
There's one there, yes, but there was a
Oh.
London string of it that was considerably shitter.
Oh, okay.
Well, you assume.
I assume it's basically paying money to get into a giant shop. It's fucking ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, I didn't make the choice to go. My friend basically needed moral support, so I was there.
Oh,
and,
I see. Yeah.
It was quite funny, and including Fat Amy Pond. That was funny. But anyway,
Fat? She's not a fat.
no, but there was a fat version.
What, an action figure or something? Oh, I
Yeah,
see. A
cosplay.
cosplay. Oh no! Oh my god! I did never want to see that.
She totally shouldn't have dressed for Rio.
Fat Amy Pond. Was she in the first episode, like policewoman with a miniskirt?
No, she was in the Rio dress, basically. The one
okay.
that sort of carried on for several episodes, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, that's going off topic. There were quite a few shitty cosplayers, and some of the fattest people I've ever seen in my life, including the guy that not only had a reinforced wheelchair, it was reinforced and double width. It was amazing. And the guy who seemed to have extra flab hanging down just one of his legs.
What the hell? I am never going to Comic-Con. I hope they... What I want is a PAX London, which will never, ever happen. But still, that would be awesome.
True. But it was scarring, as in a way was Metroid. I wasn't actually that impressed, I've got to be honest.
Okay.
I had my hopes up, thinking
what
it
were
would
you
be
expecting from a Team Ninja Metroid game, and what did you see? You know.
Well, I kind of expected sort of a 2D Metroid game, a sort of classic 2D Metroid game with a bit more sort of crazy finesse, in the ability you can do. And it sort of is, in that it's imagine top-down platforming controls with shooting mechanics.
Right.
A bit kind of like Devil May Cry, actually, thinking about it.
Okay.
It kind of plays like that, which I thought was a bit odd.
Like Devil May Cry?
Yeah, you
Isn't
sort of, you move around the world from a sort of top-down perspective, but with guns.
Right, okay.
It's like playing Bayonetta without the melee attack.
But when you're saying Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, I'm thinking that's quite similar in a way to what Team Ninja does, which is Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think of that.
So if you think of it as being more of a Metroid cross with Ninja Gaiden,
it's
maybe.
A bit like
I don't know.
Yeah, except you're always using your gun rather than melee attacks. So
right,
you see what I mean?
Okay.
From what I played, the Morph Ball didn't play much of a role, but I imagine that's just because I played the start of the game, so that's fine. The other thing is, get ready for cutscenes.
Oh, welcome to Japanese gaming.
It was
non-Nintendo Japanese gaming, I should say.
It was epic, terrible, and unskippable.
Ugh. Oh dear.
Seriously, it's dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. It's
That's
like
sad.
She goes off for ages talking about her feelings about her old commander, and then it's like there's even a pause before the commander goes, sort of what he tells all of the squad mates who you're never going to see other than in this first sequence, like what their role in the mission is. They run off and do it, and then there's a pause, and then something, and then he says, "That's the end of the briefing," like that, because nobody wants him to say
God.
that. Like, and then there's a pause, and then Samus is just standing there going, I was feeling kind of excited to be taking orders from my old boss again. It's like, we don't fucking care. Kill some shit.
Samus Aran is not fucking Joanna Dark. She doesn't talk, does she?
It's all monologue. The entire game will be a monologue.
She's like a silent protagonist almost, like almost Gordon Freeman style, isn't she?
Yeah,
she should be.
I can see how they could have pulled it off, but this isn't it.
Does she talk in Metroid Prime trilogy?
No, ever. Never.
No. Good.
She goes when she gets hit every now and then, but
lots of people talk to you in 2, which is kind of weird.
Yes, that's
and then more so in 3, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of voice acting in Prime 3, but you don't ever talk back.
Like in Half-Life.
But it's not quite the same as it's like in the Metroid ones. It seems more like you should be saying something, because it's like in Half-Life they talk at you, but it's
such
always
a way
sort of excused that you're never saying anything. Like something interrupts them just as they were about to get you to say something or something.
Yeah, and they kind of make jokes about it as well, don't they?
It'd be amazing if in like when they finally try and bring Half-Life to wraps, he plays this kind of Silent Bob character and has one line in the middle of it. It's super awesome.
No ticket.
Yeah. No.
It's so cool. Yeah. So, I can't say I was hugely, optimistic about it anyway, personally. But it sounds like you've had your hopes a bit dashed there.
I've got a bit of an attachment for the Metroid series, not because I really got into the previous, the sort of SNES era ones, but because Metroid Prime just blew my mind.
That's so good, that game, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Do you think
it was kind of hoping...
Does it stand up, that game? I was just thinking about playing it, and I thought, well, maybe it won't look quite right anymore, or I don't know. Would you still play that today?
It still looks good.
It was awesome for a GameCube game, of course.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
of course. Yeah.
And of course, they've made some improvements on, very few, but you can play it. I'd recommend if you had a Wii, getting the Metroid Prime Trilogy pack.
Right. What's happened with that? Because wasn't there distribution problems or something on it?
No, it got released and everything.
Right. Okay. Okay, that's good. As long as we can find it.
It's totally purchasable.
Sorted. Get that, and possibly get that now if you're thinking of saving your money for Metroid Other M. Probably better off with the
play Prime if you haven't. It's seriously good. Because the other weird decision, and I thought I can see where they were going with this, and maybe it was a limitation of the control scheme they had, because it was being played Wiimote only.
Right.
And the normal controls, you hold the Wiimote on the side.
Right.
Sort of,
like a
Mario
Famicom.
Classic style.
Yeah.
But in order to, because there are sections that require first-person shooting,
right.
Taking some stuff out of Prime, but you can't move while doing it, and you have to activate it by turning the remote and pointing it at the screen.
Right.
Which is an awkward motion.
Yeah. You almost can't. You almost have to look at your hands when you do it. Almost. I don't know.
Yeah. Fortunately, the section of game where you were forced to do that in order to kill certain things, sort of had the enemies being particularly dumb. They sort of hover around for a while before attacking you, but you still feel compelled to move out of the way. So you find yourself doing this, like, awkward action quite frequently, and
right.
So you when you go to then aim, your aim's all over the place because you've only just moved there. So it's like, got to adjust for the Wii sensors and all that shit. And
yeah,
don't know. Just there are certain bits that will work. For instance, the normal combat, but cutscenes and the first-person mechanic just doesn't work in my mind. I don't know. I'm not. I've been quite thoroughly put off. I want to see where it goes. I want to see what the reviews are like. Just because my sort of opinion of the game has been so black and white up till now,
Right. Well, thanks for the report. Excellent. Excellent.
There you go.
Super up to date.
That's my
news.
Yeah. Look at me, investigative journalist by accident.
Very good. Yeah. Don't know. We can't get any kind of regular that kind of inside access, can we? It's just going to be
not really.
Occasional random stuff like that. But that's very cool.
We did have sort of links once, friend of a friend, to people working at Lionhead.
Did we? I've got a friend who works at what is now Crytek UK and was previously Free Radical.
Oh yeah, I used to know of someone working there. Didn't actually know him, but.
And I think Ho's brother works at Creative Assembly.
Oh really?
Cool. Yeah, I think so. He's worked on not on the Total War game, but on some console. What was it, Spartan Total War, which wasn't really a Total War game. It was more of a sort of hack and slash or something. I don't know. But anyway, yes. So we do know the occasional person. It's only very peripherally.
Well, that was the other game that sort of, not really sure why, but it caught my eye recently. It was what do you call it? Tournament of Legends.
What the hell is that?
Well, it was supposed to be. Yeah, it was supposed to be a historic and mythological themed fighter. So featuring like gladiators and things like that, and as its main draw. Except it basically turned out to be ridiculous and shit. It's worth watching the review just because some of the speech in it is just so bad.
Okay. I have to check that out. There was a very loud breath there. That came out immediately with like sudden gust of wind. And relax. Right.
Well, I
Shall
can
we-
now. That's my section over. I can go back to occasional comments of retardation.
Yeah.
Excellent. And
Oh, I remembered something else I wanted to mention about Mass Effect 2.
oh
I
yeah,
don't know if
go
you
ahead.
guys noticed.
Can we fuck it or let Dad talk?
This is just one
No,
of
go
those
for it.
really stupid little mini things that I spotted and was like, oh lol. It was like, oh EA. But if you go into like the souvenir store on the Citadel. and
Oh
you
yeah,
stand
this is my
there,
favourite
the
store on
background
the Citadel.
the background music to the souvenir store on the Citadel is from SimCity 4. It's like EA miming the Maxis treasure trove.
Oh, I
I'm
have
sure
to
they
check
used
that
that
out.
music in another game as well. That same. Oh no, it was in Spore as well. They used that same little bit of music.
I wonder if it's an
It's
Easter
one
egg.
of the
That's really
SimCity
funny.
4 background musics in the Citadel, and I was like,
I don't remember
oh,
either
EA,
of those.
you're
I'm
so
going to have to
cheap.
check that out.
Yeah, I don't know if we played enough Civ 4 to remember the track on the Civ 4 side. Civ 4? What are we talking about? That's what
SimCity
I've got.
4, yeah.
Sorry, I've been playing Civ 4. So
You'll
that's what I was
recognise
gonna
it.
talk
It's that
about.
one
Yeah.
that has the like kind of sort of street noise in the background.
Yeah, I think I might know what you mean.
I had some of it actually just on my music playlist, so I'll probably recognise it if I didn't.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know why it's always that one track as well. Someone at EA must really like it or something, so they keep slipping it into all their games.
I do love that. This is my favourite store on the Citadel thing for every single store. So
I
funny.
only did it for one. I only did it for the
Oh,
one
did
where
you?
the guy actually recognised you and was like, "Holy shit, you're on the show!" And I was like, "Yes, I'll give you a recommendation because you deserve it. All these other fighters can just fuck off."
But you can like literally endorse everyone and they'll give you discounts. It's really funny. That's one thing. I thought that by the end of the game, I don't know, you've played a bit more of it and you've had the DLC, but I thought I would have enough money to pay for everything, but I actually didn't have enough money to buy everything in the game.
No,
barely
I'm
had enough money to buy
noticing that.
everything.
I'm noticing that.
I got most things, but there are a few things that I couldn't buy for the final mission because I went round visiting the shops before I went for a suicide run. You know?
I know I've missed a couple of things. I remember we were talking about the Derelict Reaper thing. I saw a Cerberus shotgun
Right.
upgrade and thought, oh, I'm in the middle of a firefight. I'll come back and get that in a minute, and then didn't.
You forgot about it.
I always
Never
thought it
mind.
was weird how sometimes just at the end of the missions you'd randomly get an upgrade.
Yeah, sometimes. Don't you?
But then it was really dumb where if that would happen, it would give you the upgrade, and just as it would cut to the the elusive man screen, Shepard would still go, "This looks interesting." Suddenly,
Oh yeah. that did that for me
Yeah.
as well. That's so weird.
The mission ends is like, this looks interesting.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Actually,
It's like-
no. The funniest thing, though, we have to say this. Like the funniest thing about Mass Effect, sort of like incidental voice work, is they've seen us.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Because you can have
Like,
a
you've just caused
conversation
some
with
giant
the,
explosion, which is about to start at the end of a cutscene.
you'll have conversations with the bad guy, won't you? And then they'll get pissed off with you, and you'll
Oh, yeah,
start
yeah,
the
yeah.
confrontation in cutscene form, and then it will just cut to you, and you'll go, "They've seen us."
Oh,
That
so
was
classic.
genius.
It's
I also
really
forgot
awful.
to mention the weird bugs I was having on PC, where a lot of floating in midair problems. It's like if you run up against the edge of a cliff, you'd suddenly clip outside the hit zone, so you'd be running around in midair outside. But then you couldn't get back onto the cliff for some reason.
Yeah, I managed to get stuck at least once.
And I also
Like-
had another problem with certain edges of bits of cover, where if you'd push up against them, you'd suddenly levitate like 6 feet in the air for no reason and get stuck in midair, and then someone would shoot you. I was like, oh, god damn it, again!
I didn't have it too much.
More
I mainly
happening
had-
on the PC than the Xbox. But
You know Jacob's loyalty mission where there's that crashed ship and then you go around the corner and there's a village.
yeah,
Well, on that kind of next to the cliff as you're walking towards the village from the crashed ship, I got kind of stuck on the scenery there. Though I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's probably perfectly fine if you just walk down the path. But I don't know. I must have brushed up against the edge of the cliff and got sort of stuck. And I was there for a while because I did actually manage to work my way free. Because normally it's like, oh, you have to reset or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think for some reason I was really annoyed because I'd done something and I didn't want to have to reload it because I wanted to save the fact that I picked up this weapon or something. I don't know what it was.
yeah, it's always
And,
really annoying when it's just a glitch, when you're like, oh, now I have to do all the stuff that I did up to this point again.
Yeah. Really
Remember to
irritating.
quick save more frequently.
There are a couple of glitches in the game that are really pissing me off at this point, actually. The most annoying one is its inability to realise which is the game which is the last save you used. So at the moment, when I push resume from the main menu, it takes me to a save, which admittedly I still have, but it takes me. It's about 15 hours ago. Surely it realises that if I want to resume, you resume the one you were last playing.
Oh, that's a bit of a, that's weird.
That's pretty crap. Option. That used to do that a bit for the what do you call it when you're in when you die and you push resume. I might have spoken about this before actually. When you die, you push the resume button and it would load the wrong save.
Oh no, that's really bad.
That's bad.
Okay.
I just don't like how it was like it had autosave and quick save if you went to the load menu.
It does on PC. There's no quick save on console, of course.
That was confusing because it's like autosave and quick save are not the same thing.
Oh, that makes sense. That's fine. I can live with that. The other one is found as you were talking about sort of weird movements and stuff was like if sometimes if I tell a squad member to use a power, Shepard gets the compelling urge to walk to the left. Which sometimes often means I just walk out of cover and just keep going, and it's like, no, don't fucking do that.
I actually have this thing in GTA 4 and in Red Dead, the same engine, obviously, where a cutscene ends and your character is sort of walking forward very slowly, and it's quite hard to get to stop without turning around. I don't know if you've ever come across this, but you're sort of moving and you haven't pushed the stick. And I don't know, It's quite weird. Yeah, it only happens in those games, but it's very strange. Anyway. If anyone else has come across that, but weird little things like that can be irritating.
I suspect that quite a lot of the problems where I was having the weird floating in midair glitches in the PC version was probably because of it being the more digital, like WASD movement. You're not like gradually pushing the stick in one direction. You're just like maximing it out. I think that was probably what was making it a bit crazy. But the floating in midair glitch, it really is funny because it's not like an instant thing. You literally do levitate upwards. You just like
like that levitating goat thing. You've seen? Yeah, I showed you that on YouTube. So funny. Awesome sauce.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
anyway,
I think that covered the other random thoughts I had about Mass Effect.
I was about to say,
we run out of time again.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk about Civ.
Yeah, so I had nothing but my laptop really, so I thought, well, I'll install Civ 4 and have a go on that. Since
what did you think of that?
You were talking about it, I quite enjoyed it. I had no idea what I was doing. I played it before in the distant past, but I was never any good at it. And this time I thought, right, I'm going to bloody learn how to play. And it took me a few goes to like work out what the hell was going on and stuff. And I also found that, we were talking about the different speeds and the epic and marathon at the end or whatever, But I was like, well, I'm going to leave bloody marathon. I stuck it on normal. And I find it really weird on normal. I know it's supposed to be normal, but I find that, you go from Middle Ages to modern in the time it takes to actually move your units across the map to actually fight someone. It's freaking ridiculous. I had to play it on marathon.
Don't ever last long enough to get any combat done in the ancient ages.
No, there's just
so
I know
only
games are really long.
Like modern.
Yeah,
or the gunpowder age. It's like as soon as you get gunpowder, that's where you actually start thinking about fighting people, which is really kind of dumb in a sort of historical sense.
But I'd read that what you need to do is it's very important, supposedly, to get, because it always spawns your capital, your settler, where you build your capital in a good place. That it's very important if you want to win. Not very, but that it's good to overtake, and destroy your neighbour as soon as possible, because then you effectively have two capital city spots, and that really helps in the early game. So I'd read that it was like, for God's sake, rush your neighbour, because then you'll be set up for the rest of the game, effectively. And it took me quite a few tries to do that, because I thought, first time I tried it, I was like, okay, well, as soon as you develop catapults, that's the time to attack, I always assumed. Because, in Civ 2, catapults were incredibly powerful, or whatever. Yeah. But I think they've clearly been nerfed, because it took me a while, and I was having trouble with catapults, and I realised that you need to do it even earlier, and that the key is, for me anyway, axemen. Axemen were good for attacking cities, and you get them very early.
There's something very cool about an axeman, isn't there?
Yeah, just in general. Yeah, so just the image of an axeman.
The trouble with the early unit balance is it's like, here is an axeman, it's the generic sort of unit, and it's like, here is a pikeman, he's for defending against horses, and then But it's like, and then like after Axemen, once you get the iron, you get the swordman, and it's like these guys are good at attacking cities. They have a bonus, except really it's like. But then also the trouble with that is it's the only unit that you have to attack cities with. So it's like I'll just build a giant pile of swordsmen then, except they're not really that effective.
Well, the Axemen I found were good because you could level them up, because if you had barracks, then you got an upgrade, and one of them was City Raider, which is plus 20% city attack. And at that point, none of the cities, you don't have to worry about catapults, because none of the cities have had a chance to develop any kind of walls or any kind of defense. So you just rush across there as fast as you can with your Axemen and get them as soon as you can. And I found that much more effective. But as I say, I had to play on bloody marathon because otherwise everything felt way too fast. But then, of course, the game took 16 hours. But it was
like
brilliant.
If you're playing on normal speed, it's like by the time your Axeman has reached the enemy city, it's hella obsolete.
Exactly. So I was like, this is silly. I mean, I can't suspend my disbelief in normal mode. The only way I can play it that makes any sense to me is to play it in marathon mode.
Well,
so I did.
I mean, I just never got into early combat, really.
Yeah.
Apart from when enemies forced it upon me, where it's like, you started attacking me for no reason.
Yeah.
Hearing what you're saying, marathon mode sounds like Civ 2's normal.
Probably. No, I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know. I finished in 69 hours, but I was playing on because I was playing on a low difficulty setting. Because I was new.
That's the other thing.
I basically could have won anyway. By the end of it, it was only about 1910, and I basically conquered. I had the ability to conquer everyone, or build a spaceship, or get domination if I wanted. I just had to pick whether I wanted to launch the spaceship.
So you didn't get a really early win by like culture or whatever.
No, I wanted to play till the end anyway. But basically,
it's like that's why I turned off culture and diplomacy victory, because it's like that's too easy and it happened too early in the game.
Right, I'd probably if I'd known, I would probably turn them off anyway. Actually, because it's more fun to get, spaceship or even conquest. Because you can't get conquest, can you, without triggering domination first? Can you?
Well, depending on if you destroy enemy cities, I guess.
That's true. If you
taking over the land.
Yeah, that's true. Because what I ended up doing was, but by the point I started developing and I got that other civilization, so I had 2 civilizations worth of space on the continent, which was a relief. But then I just fast-tracked the development of tanks, and I had tanks by the Middle Ages. And I built a huge number of them and put them all on one tile, and I just steamrolled everyone on the continent. It was a joke by that point, because there was literally catapults versus Shermans. And then
were catapults chucking axemen though.
Yeah, that would have been more effective. But the tanks can attack. They're like the cavalry, so they can attack like twice per turn. But they're also really strong. So I don't know. It was pretty silly. The only trouble I had was initially the artillery moved very slowly compared to the tanks, which is of course the initial problem. But once you upgrade to the mobile artillery, they move at the same speed, so you can just steamroller everyone. It's really funny. It's the blitzkrieging away. So, and I get what you're saying about the spy stuff. That's because it took me a while to get that, but it was a lot of fun because otherwise there's not much to do during peacetime in some ways.
No.
Yeah, with your neighbors.
And it lets you actually see all the enemy cities, because it's like if you haven't, because you can't scout unless you have open borders or whatever.
Yeah. Everyone's always asking for open borders.
Yeah, everyone is constantly like, open borders,
What?
open borders. It's like, no, fuck off.
What do they want? Do they want to spread bloody religion or something in my cities? I mean,
I've never seen a computer player actually use a
religion.
What's he called it?
Missionary.
Actually in one of my cities. It's like,
it's weird.
I don't know why they want it. They just want to. The main reason why I don't let them have open borders is to stop them like colonizing space that's like on the edge of my continent. Where it's like my influence will eventually expand to cover that, but probably the computer players would run in there and set up a tiny city in a shitty space.
Yeah, it's really annoying. And then you have to go to war with them just to get that tiny spot. And it's like, oh, I know, I messed up. I'll tell you how I messed up one of my games. And I looked this up afterwards, and it's a Beyond the Sword edition. But what happened was I accidentally accepted an offer to become, for another civilization that I wanted to ultimately take over, to become my vassal state.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Which is really annoying, because once you've agreed for them to become your, like, protectorate or whatever, it's almost impossible. No, it's almost impossible to cancel that agreement. Almost impossible. the only way you can get them, I looked it up, and the only way you can get them is to demand payments from them that they will then refuse. But because you're so powerful compared to them, they always just roll over. So you can demand all their resources, and they'll just give it to you. And then you can't go to war with them. There's no way. So it really annoyed me. And I, at the time, it was just one of those pop-ups. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, accept. That's fine. I'll declare war on you later. For the time being, I'll be nice to you. And it totally screwed the game up because I couldn't then attack them at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, I never accept that just in case everyone else decides to declare war on them and then draws me
and
into
then
war.
You'll have to. But that's another reason. So that's an additional and probably more important reason to never have anyone as your vassal state unless you're absolutely sure that it'll benefit you and you're never going to take them over. Because that's a real...
Like if they were like an island civilization or something.
Yeah,
like
that would be
no one's
right.
ever going to go there.
Yeah,
You're
that's
saying,
true. No,
sorry, I'm struggling.
Go ahead.
Are you saying battle state?
vassal, it starts with a V.
Vassal state.
It's like
No.
Vichy France was a vassal state of Nazi Germany, for example, or it's almost
Okay.
like the Eastern Bloc were a vassal states of Soviet Russia, like Ukraine and East Germany, all that.
Because I was
You see
just
what I mean?
imagining that a battle state is actually just someone posed in an angry fashion.
I'm in my battle state.
I'm now in my relaxed state.
I'll get all of Croatia to be my battle state, so they just threaten people all the time. It's like, don't fly over there, you'll get blasted by angry waves.
There's probably some things I probably was thinking that I ought to ask you though about Civ 4 that puzzled me about. Like, for example, one thing was, you have I couldn't get the queues to work very well for building in a city. So you go into the city screen,
Yeah.
and the queue of building stuff is at the bottom. But when I click something, instead of adding to the queue, it replaces what's in the queue. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know, and then you click something else, and then that is added to the queue.
Well,
And I didn't-
It's sort of conditional because it's like if you go into the if you've already spent resources on the thing that the city was building and then
Right.
you click on something else in the queue, it adds that to the top of the queue, but it keeps the resources you've already spent on the other thing,
That's
and
right.
then it puts it into the second slot in the queue.
But how do you say this is I want to build after I finish this? How do you do that?
I can't remember which one it is, but either shift or control when you click on
Oh.
things adds it to the top and bottom of the list.
That's what I needed to know, you see, because that's not made clear at all. And also, that queue, that screen is actually, despite the fact that's supposed to be the detailed screen, the city screen, right?
Yeah.
That actually gives you almost less information because the icons are so tiny for the things you want to build than the pop-up that says, what do you want to build next? Because that gives you the names and you hover over them and it tells you, all the information.
Did it. It's like I normally do it through the pop-up,
Yeah,
unless
me too.
It's like unless I know the next 3 things I want to build or whatever.
Yeah, me
Then
too.
you go
But
to the city and queue them.
But I think that's almost detracts from the game in a way, because I think that pop-up can be kind of feel like it's controlling your life, in that game. Because
Yeah.
once it
You
comes
just
up, there's-
accept whatever it says. It's like
it says this is
yes.
recommended, and then you're not really playing the game. It's almost playing itself in that respect, and it's like because that pop-up you can't. My main problem with it is it should show you the city's happiness and health on that pop-up. Which
Yeah.
it doesn't. So a lot of times I'm saying, show me the city just to check the happiness and health, which could easily be on
make
the
sure you're not
pop-up.
going to overload it in one direction. And then...
Do I want an aqueduct? Do I want a theatre to make sure, but you don't get that information initially, So, that was a suggestion. But, it's kind of annoying, that queue thing. I think they could amalgamate that in some way that would make it less like every turn you end, you're just going through your city saying, what am I going to build? Oh, bloody. Before you get to your fighting, it's like, library, aqueduct, barracks. Because I was constantly like,
You might want to change how you say that. That sounded like someone pining over an aqueduct. Whoa, cool, look at that aqueduct. Yeah.
Aqueducts, yeah. They are pretty good, though. They give you health. But, I digress. But I was constantly wanting, it was always saying, recommended, build an archer. And I'm like, no, I want a bank. I want a bank in every city so I can make more money than you could possibly imagine.
At least it does have like the military option and then the non-military option. So you can
That's
just be like,
true.
No archer, no.
But I found most
I'll
of the
have
city
building.
improvements that I wanted to build were actually at the end of the list. You had to scroll through the military units before you could get to the
Yeah, because
aqueduct or
military
whatever.
units are always at the top. Yeah.
At the top, yeah. So I found that slightly irritating. I was every turn I was scrolling down that list every single time, going, Has this one got a
You
grocer
just have
yet?
to sort of get into the habit of just queuing up every single building you possibly can on one turn, and then you're good for like.
Yeah, but now
then of course it's like you're even less playing the game.
But now I at least know that the buttons to enable me to queue, because I couldn't get the queue to work. Yeah, so that was a real pain. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, the tanks just completely destroyed everyone. Like I went over to the other continent, and by that point
how far tech ahead were you? That's the real question.
I was way ahead. I don't know why, but they had a lot of units, but they didn't have very much research, which I think is the AI way, even on the high difficulties, I imagine. But
yeah, they always flood a ridiculous amount of units. So it was just like pounding them with the tanks. It's really easy because none of them ever got destroyed. So even if you don't have that many, you just keep pounding them, and because they get attacked twice per turn, it was like bang, bang, bang. Yeah, it's because tanks have like the retreat and everything, don't they? Because they're a fast unit, so they can disengage. Yeah,
they're like cavalry, effectively. But and when I went across the sea to engage everyone else, I had so much money from all these banks that I just upgraded them all to the modern tanks, and then it was really simple. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try. My problem is that
difficulty, apparently.
Yeah, I could turn up the difficulty, but then I'll just get killed in the first hour. That's what's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to. That's my main problem.
It can go fairly well at the start of the game, depending on. The trouble I have with it is it's always a case of like, because I'm always trying to like not let I want to claim this bit of content. I mean I discussed this last time we were talking about Civ 4.
Yeah.
Like the start of the game is the critical time where you're like, I don't want to let any retarded computer players set up random cities in the back of my continent for some reason.
Yeah, that's the most. Yeah, you have to try and prevent that. It's quite difficult in the early game. I don't know. It definitely causes me the most anxiety, because after a point on the lower difficulty settings, like I was playing, your victory is almost inevitable, isn't it? After almost halfway through the game, you will win. It's inevitable in a way, and it's still fun to play. But I don't know. They need to. I don't know. Maybe I've only played a little bit of this game, to be honest. But it seems to me that there's a lot of anxiety at first where you could lose, and then there's a tipping point. You know?
Yeah, and then sort of a long period of boredom in the middle.
Well, that's where the espionage comes in, and is actually quite fun, because you can conduct a Cold War, which is a laugh, to be honest, with the spies and the.
I don't think I ever used. I mean, I used it a bit, but I don't think I ever used it a lot. It was just like put a spy in the next city that I'm going to attack to just prevent them from building any more units.
I mainly used the
sabotage their shit every turn.
I mainly used the ability I mainly used, to be honest, was perform counter-espionage to stop them from spying on me, because it's really irritating.
I never did that, because it's hard to tell whether you'd actually notice that they're doing anything. It's like...
Well, it does, because...
Occasionally you get things where it pops up where it's like, we've discovered a spy, and it's like, yes, and...
Well, it says we've discovered a spy, but if you do the perform counter-espionage, then it says we've discovered a spy, and it also has a message saying we've discovered more spies than we would normally because we've performed counter-espionage. So it gives you some feedback.
But it doesn't tell you what those spies were doing or what they were intending to do, or if they were trying to perform a mission when they were discovered.
That's true. Because sometimes you perform a mission and your spy gets immediately discovered so they don't get back to base, but you still get the mission successful.
Yeah.
Which is like half a win, isn't it? Because the full win is to perform the mission and then your spy teleports to your capital city. It was for me. I don't know if it's the nearest city, probably. I don't know. But, and then you can use the spy again. Yeah, it's so cool.
That could be a film.
The full win. Yeah. So yeah, but
I'm trying to think what it was recently that advertised itself as having lots of win.
It's my computer. My computer on the front of my computer, where it's got like the front USB ports and like the front headphone jacks. It's just labelled in win. It's like my computer is finished in win.
Awesome.
Well, that wasn't the one I was thinking of, but yeah, no, it was like a game ad or something, and it was which I suppose shouldn't be surprising, but it had some epic text dropping on, and it was just labelled itself as having loads of win.
Oh, right, okay.
So, I still think that Civilization combat has potential to have more in common with Advanced Wars and to be more tactical, because it is a bit silly, There's not much.
Are they going to make another Advanced Wars anytime soon? I don't think there was any news of that, was there?
Speaking of
No.
which, I played a little Advance Wars Dark Conflict on the DS when I was bored. Since
Good.
I'm borrowing it off Zach. Yeah. And yeah, good game. I'm not very good at it. I have to keep restarting everything because I make little mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing wrong because sometimes I hold down the B over the enemy units to see their attack range, and I move my units carefully out of attack range, and then the next turn they manage to get them. They like drive up to them. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like sometimes their attack range seems to move slightly between turns or something, or I'm not.
It's always to
looking.
do. You have to. The trouble with that is you have to take into account like what squares are blocked by your other units.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I'm going wrong. So I have to work on that because there's nothing you can do about that. Or the game. It's not the fault of the game. It's just, yeah, 'cause they couldn't.
And of course, you have to look out for those evil battleships, which can move and shoot.
Yeah, I haven't come across. I've only just restarted it, and I was just getting pwned by that anti-tank thing. I don't know what to use against that in the early game. What to use, infantry or something? Because it like pwns everything, and it has a counter-attack as well.
I think I can't remember how you usually get past it. It's either like, I think infantry is good for like softening it up because obviously it's cheap. But I think like recons do quite a lot of damage.
Really?
And machine guns. I mean, they get like a lot of counter attack damage as well. But
Yeah.
there's not really much you can do about it. Whatever you do, don't use choppers.
No.
Because for some reason, anti-tanks can shoot choppers really badly.
Those anti-tank things are hard. I guess it makes sense in terms of the World War II Flak 88 German was actually an anti-air weapon, but it was used mostly in the anti-tank role.
I was
And
about
that's
to say,
kind of-
is there actually a
Anti-airs in-
specialised anti-air?
The anti-airs in Advanced Wars could always shoot ground units.
That's true.
They were the best thing for mowing down infantry.
Standard Vulcan cannon.
What there should be in Advanced Wars is Flak Troopers from Red Alert 2. At least I have chaff. Awesome sauce. Yeah, so that's basically all I've played so far in Advance. I played a little bit of, guess what, Deus Ex, because I had my PC, and I loaded up because that game is long, and I loaded up the save I had from last summer when all I had was my laptop, and I was at the the Vandenberg gas station after the Vandenberg air base. You have to go and save that Gary Savage's daughter, who's in a petrol station.
At a random petrol station in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, where randomly
Gary
the girl...
Savage. Now there's a chav.
It's a good name, is it? He's like the top scientist. He's like super clever, and he's like Gary Savage. Yeah, but yeah,
Chav.
because I'd actually heard they were talking on the PC Gamer, or was it? No, probably the Rock Paper Shotgun podcast about Deus Ex, and specifically about that level, and saying how it was so cool and stealthy. And I went in, and it's like, I mean, it's a great game, but you can't stealth that level. I know you're supposed to, you have to sneak up, but you have to kill everyone, otherwise they just run in and kill the girl. And also, the problem is you can get in the roof, right? But when you drop and you hit the floor, it goes clunk, and then everyone goes, what's that? Some guy in a coat or something. You know what I mean?
Because they have the auditory sense to sort of make out. That's the sound of some guy in a cloak, obviously.
Yeah. But they get alerted, and like you can drop down into the room where the guy's daughter is and talk to her, but the sound of you hitting the floor alerts them. So, and also it automatically goes into conversation. So what happens is you drop into the room. I couldn't make it do any other way. You start talking to her, and they run in and kill you, or they wait. No, they wait. Like it's a man in black with a plasma gun, and he runs around outside waiting for you to finish your conversation. And then the moment it starts, he kills. It's so funny. I mean, that game is amazing, but it's so shit in so many ways. And then I went, and the next level is the ocean lab, right? I don't know if you remember, but you go down, under the ocean, and then you have to fight. Like, we don't actually have to. I think the first time I played the game, I just managed to run away and meet him later. But you have to fight that Walton Simons guy, right?
Yeah.
And he has a plasma gun, right? And the combat in Deus Ex against someone who's actually like a boss,
dangerous.
like Gunther Hermann or Anna Navarra or this guy, Walton Simons, is appalling. Especially this fight, because the plasma gun whites out your screen so you can't see shit. It's impossible. And
Can you see
because
that weird square dithering effect?
that's probably
So-
all you can see. Yeah, and you have a conversation with him, and of course you have a witty one-liner, and then the bars go down, and you go back to first person, and immediately your screen is just full of white, and you just can't see anything. And it's so hard to actually defeat him normally. But then if you jip the game, which is the only way to play Deus Ex, really, not jipping but just in a being clever way, which is the fun of Deus Ex, really. It's so easy, because all you do is you come out a door, and he appears from your right? And he talks to you, and then he kills you, right? So what you do is, you open the door, you pop out just enough to activate the conversation, and then when it ends, you run backwards so that the door closes, right? And then you actually have time to set up lambs on either side of the wall. And then when he manages to open the door, he just explodes.
That's like the classic, like in the apartment right at the start of the game, in the apartment
With the
in New York, when they're coming to kill Paul, and the men in black go outside the door, and it's like, I'm just going to line the walls with lambs.
And that's even the way I did, like, even earlier in the game. I actually killed Anna Navarra in the 747, where you meet Lebedev or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to kill him, and like we did the sensible thing of like zapping him with a prod. So he did that,
dead.
but it still says he's dead. So that's done. But what I do is I put a lamb on the wall, and you can actually kill Anna Navarra in the room without killing Lebedev, if you're extremely lucky. Yeah, that's the first opportunity you get to kill her, because you can see her. I think there's a way, I've never done this, but you've done it, right, Zach? Where if you do enough hacking in Unatco, you can find out her kill phrase, can't you?
I think I found like half of it, and then I couldn't find where the other half was.
Right. Because I've always used the kill phrase on Gunter.
I don't know. I think I maybe did find both parts of it, but then I couldn't work out what I had to do to make it trigger. Like, it didn't seem to turn up in any of the conversation options or anything.
Oh. It's always a bit janky like that, isn't it? But, I mean, I've always used that to kill Gunter, because Gunter has like a flamethrower, and if you try and fight him, it's almost as hard as the Walton Simons fight, and there's no way you can like jip him into walking into a corridor full of lambs, because you're in that cathedral chapel place, aren't you? You haven't played enough Deus Ex. I've played it too many times, but anyway. and now I thought, oh, okay, but I've done the Ocean Lab, and now I'm at Area 51, so it's the end of the game. So I might just play it through and finish it at some point next week or so. We can talk about a 10-year-old game some more. But enough Deus Ex talk, because I go on about
Probably
it.
older than that, though, isn't it?
It's 10 years recently, because the Rock Paper Shotgun guys did a whole bunch of features on it, because they're like obsessed. Yeah, I don't know. And there's some really funny like YouTube videos. It seems older because even at the time
like
it wasn't very
98
pretty.
kind of game.
Yeah. Did it run on? I was trying to work out which version of the Unreal Engine it ran on. I think it must be the original Unreal.
It sure looks like it. Yeah.
It would have been the first UT engine.
Yeah, the original Unreal Tournament. Yeah. So it would have been after obviously Unreal, but it was Unreal Tournament. Yeah, engine, which was
you can tell.
You can tell. Yeah. And because of its sprawling environments,
that would have been U Engine 1 still.
Yeah, and because of its huge environments and grey sort of general aesthetic, it didn't look as pretty as UT, did it? I mean, but there you go.
No, and that weird square diver effect, which I can never forget. It's like the more I think about it, the more it burdens onto my eyes.
It's very strange, but top game. Love that game. But as I say, very flawed. So many flaws, which hopefully I'm really excited about the sequel. Oh, and of course the Ocean Lab is full of greasels.
Those bastards.
We all love greasels, don't we? Yeah.
They like basically have plasma guns in their mouth.
Yeah, effectively. But they burn you, don't they, afterwards? Like, I think the plasma does the same, I think. Yeah, but it's like really irritating. It's like they
make such an annoying noise. It's like, oh fuck, greasers again.
They're really creepy and weird. Like the Karkians are actually more hardcore than the greasels, but the greasels are just scarier. And like in Area 51, there are greys as well, but that's only, actual proper aliens.
Yeah, but, you see a couple of them in that VersaLife building, don't you?
Yeah,
in
you
the
do.
back of the labs.
Yeah, they're quite freaky. Yeah,
just run in there and kill them.
They're not really aliens, are they? They're like genetically engineered from monkeys to look like aliens in order to freak people out or something, aren't they? I don't know. Some weird nonsense. I don't know. It's
a genius idea.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. But Yeah, so I'll tell you about whether or not they're genetically engineered from monkeys in Deus Ex when I play the Area 51 level where the guy who talks about them is, and then I'll let you know.
Remind you.
Yeah,
Get
just remind
that
me.
monkey.
Get that. They're very scary monkeys. They live in radioactive areas, don't they? Yeah, that's right. They are in the Versa-Life, and if you go in that room, which is all radioactive, there's no point because there's no good loot in there, is there?
No.
There's just death in there. Just don't go in
It's
there.
just like, hey, there's a hazmat suit lying around. I may as well use this.
And then there are not only is there hazardous materials, but also really nasty enemies.
They're not that bad. That room has lots of pillars as well, which is always helpful.
That's true. It's a bit like that old GoldenEye multiplayer level. What's it?
Yeah.
Archives. Is it Archives? Where you run
Yeah.
around the pillars trying to chop each other with the ridiculous. There was karate chop on License to Kill mode. Running into
I hope they
circles trying
don't
to
destroy that because I watched some of the footage of GoldenEye from E3,
the Wii.
and
game.
I hope they don't sort of ruin the ability to do like retarded like knife fights. And
It was so funny.
the thing is, when, like watching the E3 stuff, is the game still looks shit.
Yeah.
They haven't really. I know they've made some effort to sort of make it better, and they've Daniel Craig'd it up, but
For no reason.
it still looks really awful, and maybe that's half the charm. That
Maybe.
as long as we can
yeah.
have like crazy mine fights, like timed mines were always funny because they were fucking useless because
On
they had such a
Temple.
long timer. Yeah, timed mines on temples because they were bloody useless because they had such a long timer. So you
Yeah.
basically just chucked them everywhere and hoped someone walked into the explosion.
But the
But
explosions weren't really explosions because they kind of were like
They were sort of
fire.
time
They were
delayed.
persistent.
It was like,
Yeah, but the actual
All
explosion
suns.
lasted time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
So you could walk into it and out of it while it was going off. Not like a
Would
real
still
explosion.
die. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's
towards
so
the end of
funny.
it.
it was GoldenEye as well, wasn't it? Where you had like throwing knives that was so incredibly ineffective.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you give everyone throwing knives. It was like, and you just couldn't hit anyone. And even if you did hit them, they did virtually no damage.
Why
It
are
was also
throwing
back into where you
knives?
couldn't see the knives because they like are stuck in walls and things, and you could like pick them up. Except
Pick
for the
them
fact
up
you
again.
couldn't fucking see them where they
Yeah,
were
they were
where
so
they'd landed
tiny.
and stuff.
And the resolution was so bad, especially in multiplayer, because
Yeah.
you were on PAL resolution divided by 4. Oh,
That was
dear.
funny.
How did we?
Why
ever
are
care?
throwing knives always lame in games? Like in Deus Ex, you get a throwing knife, don't you, off that dead trooper in the hospital wing of the UNATCO HQ, and it's like, ooh, throwing knives, and then they're really lame. Even in Red Dead Redemption has towards the end a lame throwing knife mechanic, where it's like the only way to silently kill someone, but you only need to silently kill someone about twice in the whole game. I don't know. It's like throwing knives, not good. Because you always
I'm
run
actually
out.
trying to think of a decent throwing knife, but I suppose
Well,
the
then
one in Modern Warfare 2 springs to mind because
Yeah, we did
basically
watch
an
that
insta-kill.
video, didn't
but-
we?
Yeah,
I showed you that
the
stupid
Mythbusters for Call of Duty. Yeah,
where it's
the
like you can
genius.
ricochet the throwing knives off all kinds of shit.
Oh, cool. I have to see that.
That
That's-
looks
that guy's
because they spin so crazily. Like
That guy's
Yeah.
called Adam Savage, isn't he? So he must be related to Gary Savage of Sex fame. Mad scientist type guy. Yeah.
and he's
No,
also
wanted.
not really
Like, this is
Chavy as
all
his name.
Sorry?
Adam Savage. He's also not quite as chavvy as his name.
That's true. He's a
A
bit
real
American
shame,
to be a
you know.
chav.
It's like, you know, certain names you expect to be of a certain type. For instance, I wouldn't expect a Shaniqua to be the head of the financial division. You know,
My name's Shaniqua and what?
and what?
Yeah, classic. I don't think I've ever met anyone named Shaniqua. I've known some, that kind of name. What do you call that? It's not necessarily... I guess it is chavvy, like Crystal and all that.
It's
Do you think Imogen? No.
it's weird, isn't it? At the risk of sounding racist yet again, it's kind of like a
That's never a
black
good sign.
urban influence, isn't it?
Yeah.
On British naming, except we seem to get it really wrong.
Yeah, that's not... I don't think that's racist, so good on you. There. I think that's fine
Hooray.
to say. As black American culture or whatever influence, hip-hop sort of influence on... And as you say, we it's like it's only good in Britain when it's kind of a joke, like Goldie Looking Chain or something, where
Yeah.
it's just funny, yeah. But and sort of rapping in very cut glass RP pronunciation.
It's
is
quite
always
funny
hilarious.
when you think back at some of what we've had to offer. Really, it's like let's think of some hip hop names. You've got like Dr. Dre. That's a fairly cool name.
Yeah.
And what do we have as a representative of Britain? Dizzy.
Dizzy Rascal. I don't know. It's not so bad.
Yeah, but it's just such a British name, isn't it? Dizzy Rascal. And it doesn't really sound particularly dangerous.
No, that's
or
true.
Gangster.
Yeah. He's not really a gangster. He's sort of gangster. Some of his stuff is gangster rap, isn't it? I'm not really qualified to talk about this, really.
then again, Exhibit. That's not that cool a name, really, is it? It's
a
like,
lot of them.
I'm
are
a
quite
museum.
These are extreme museums.
Yeah,
Examine me.
begins with an X. Bouncing and all that. Yo dog, I heard you like yo-yos. And yo and yo dog like yo-yos.
So we've got a yo-yo with yo dog on it.
So yo and yo dog and yo dog.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. Yo dog, I heard you like functions. Yeah. Chav. There aren't many chavs in games, are there? There's a lot of gangster rappers in games. Well, not a lot, but 50 Cent Blood on the Sand it's got quite a few.
Well, yeah, that has quite a few because,
It's pretty much got the monopoly on gangster rap.
yeah.
But
Apart
can you
from Def
imagine?
Jam.
Can you think of some more gangster rappers or chavs in games? Go.
I don't know, the guy in Assassin's Creed, the guy, Derek, or whoever you are in the normal world, he kind of looks a bit chavvy.
Yeah, but he's a bit American. That's the trouble. You can't really be an American chav, can you? Because you'd be something else. You'd be something else. You'd be like a redneck or something. I don't know. It just don't exist. It just doesn't
Trailer
work.
trash. White trash, probably.
Yeah, you'd be trailer trash. But even that is cooler than being a chav, isn't it? So,
yeah.
On the scale, where you're talking very low down on the scale of coolness. Yeah.
4 minutes.
4 minutes? Holy shit, already?
It's the 4-minute warning. Which was actually closer to 3 minutes. Supposedly.
How many guys save the world?
The conversation just completely dries up as soon as we know we've got 4 minutes to go.
Well, we can probably sort of, move on blaxploitation a bit more, but...
Nah, I think, yeah.
It's like, once again, we managed to talk almost entirely about games and not anything else.
That's okay, though. We've had a long time.
That's what we were intending to do. I mean, that's
so,
the intention of this podcast.
I suppose I should have used a better analogy there when I was talking about Dr. Dre, because Dr. Dre versus Professor Green. The current British rapper. Seems to dub old school tracks.
Professor Green. That's not so bad. It's not very
Green.
hip-hop, though, is it? Dre, there's something cool
the thing
about
is,
Dre.
it gets shortened to Pro Green, which makes him just sound like a politician.
Pro Green. Yeah, he wants everyone to build them wind farms. So, listeners...
build a wind farm!
Hopefully, there will be no more hiatuses, and we will be back this time next week, roughly, and for the considerable future. So,
I love how you sort of dodged that, roughly,
Well, we're not always. We don't have a specific time like the Bombcast where it has to be every Tuesday. We're a bit more flexible. Every weekend, we're going to say, roughly. So, I'll say roughly again. Smoothly. We should be back. So,
whenever the fuck it happens, whenever it comes together in the crazy hectic lifestyles we have. I use we loosely.
Very loosely.
We excluding Zach there. It's pretty hectic now. He's got a new PC. That's like the most exciting thing that's happened for like a while.
It's hectic in terms of non-stop gaming.
Oh,
also, we didn't actually mention the new Team Fortress maps, which maybe we should have, but maybe not.
We'll give you a chance to play them, and then we'll...
Hopefully I'll be able to play them, and then we'll all be able to report.
Speaking of which, when are you about for some TF2? We'll discuss this off air.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, I was wondering if we had...
Basically...
That was like, should we have stopped recording now?
When I get a PC, basically, and you all listeners, you'll know about that too, because I'll get to play some PC games. So that'll be awesome. So,
Also, if you know
I sign
any
off
good
now?
ways of advertising a podcast, let us know.
Yeah,
Let us
yeah.
know from our, it's like whoever that's out there listening at the moment. Or
'Cause this is-
some
Has
small
anybody
number of
have you been paying attention to the comments on for the RE3 episode on the blog?
No.
No.
On
Has
the
there been
Saladcast
some?
website. There was some guy from like 007 Games or something was like, thanks for that post. I was interested in some of those things, but that post really cleared up. So I made the reply, I approved it on the post, and then sort of made the reply, thanks, potential spammer. I'll take this as good. And put it out. And it's like, actually followed up. And they're like, where can I get more information? And I'm like, well, you can subscribe to our RSS feed, did the sales pitch, whatever. And then
Excellent.
about a few days later, I got another message from the same guy that was exactly the same thing on the same on the same episode. So it's like, well, you've just given yourself away now, haven't you?
Oh dear.
So we've gained spammers at least, if not actual viewers.
Yeah, we've had quite a few spam attempts I've had to block,
Oh,
which
never
unfortunately
mind.
makes our comment list still quite empty.
We'll get there. We'll be famous, and then we'll be able to do an email section. Email.
You'll have to come up with an interesting way of saying it.
I don't think we can beat the bombcast, but there you go.
Anyway,
It's just a word.
5 seconds.
Okay, 4. Goodbye, everyone, and join us next week for another Saladcast.